32 minutes, 21 seconds. 5-second tone followed by a 1-second pause.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Okay, gang, let's go.
From the space city called Houston, Texas, welcome to Spaceboy Universe, featuring Spaceboy and the lovely Surlana. So strap in and prepare for launch sequence.
Greetings and salutations. I'm Spaceboy.
I'm Surlana.
And this is Spaceboy Universe. It is October 28th, 2017, and I want to wish my sister a happy birthday. Today is her birthday. And it's going to be a good show tonight. Tonight we're going to recap Maker Faire from last weekend, which will be exciting. Trust me, it will. And we'll put that all out, and we'll probably take your phone calls, because it's been a long time since we talked to our space cadets. As always, you can follow us on Twitter. That's at the SBU Universe. Follow Surlana at Surlana. Follow me at Spaceboy Music, and of course, follow the network that brings you this fine programming, and that is at the SBU Network. Remember to hashtag your tweets tonight with hashtag Space Cadets and hashtag, what's the other one we do?
What?
I forgot the other hashtag we do. Because I don't have my script. I figured I had it all.
SB Universe? I
guess. Yeah, it is. It's hashtag SB Universe. Thank you, Surlana. I'm glad you're paying attention.
That's the only two I know.
And, of course, if you want to hang out with said Space Cadets, you can do so by going to spaceboyuniverse.com. Click the player where the dancing chat bubble is. That'll get you in with all the cool kids, and you can hang out with the motley crew, so to speak. Can't catch a show live? Well, that's no problem, because we're all over the universe. We're on Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud. Just take your pick and take your player on to go with you, and you'll be cool as beans.
Exactly.
As always, we do live interviews too, video interviews, that is, and you can find it on our YouTube channel. So head on over to YouTube and subscribe and become a Space Cadet there as well. Surlana, it's going to be a good night tonight. And so at this point, I want to say, how are you, Surlana? I know,
I'm okay.
I guess I caught you off guard, didn't I?
Well, I know at some point you're going to talk to me.
I kind of changed up the beginning, not necessarily on purpose. I just just didn't have my script in front of me, and been busy trying to get these clips loaded.
Right.
And so so hey, there is Ty. He's out there in the universe. Hey,
yeah,
Ty.
now it's a three-way in the chat.
Okay, and so it should be for a good evening. And so we're gonna recap in clips, but if time allows and Spaceboy allows, I would like to talk about creepy stories. There's two kinds I'd love to tell you about if you don't know and how to find them, and maybe I'll read you an example if time allows, and if there's enough people who are new or are interested. Maybe you can hear the spooky Spaceboy Surlana origin story, which is really not that spooky, because our wedding anniversary is Monday. But okay, on that note, let's dive right into this fiesta that we called Maker Faire this year. Of course, last year we had a great opportunity to go hang out, and at that time it was called the Mini Maker Faire. They've graduated to full-fledged Maker Faire status, and I've always said that Maker Faire is more than just robots, because they do have robots there. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And
or at least some kind of remote control
control doohickeys.
No, like a robot. Yeah.
Yeah, they have some robots. But it goes into. If you've seen some of the posts that Surlana has done over the past week, she posted one where I'm wearing an apron, although it looks like a dress, and it's really cool. It was a Darth Vader pattern on it. That's making. What we do, broadcasting is considered making. So that's why I think we keep getting invited back year after year. Well, year 2 this year. And so it's pretty exciting because, we're looking forward to the future, which will be Comic Palooza. And I think we'll be a part of the Maker Faire group that goes to Comic Palooza. And we'll get into that a little bit later after, some of the clips. So without any further ado, I have the first clip. It's think of it as Maker Faire banter. And it kind of gives you an idea, starting off and everything. When we come back, we'll take our break. We'll talk a little bit about the clip and set up some other clips. But we are excited to be here. And I hope you had a chance to listen to last week's Best Of episode. That was Daryl Sims. And we had a great time talking to him. And we're in the process of trying to reach out to him and see what he's up to and, possibly get him back on the show. And people are coming in to the Space Cadet Lounge. So sit back, enjoy your favorite beverage, and let's kick off the show with our first clip.
Sure.
All right, so we're live.
All right.
Hey everyone, this is Spaceboy
And Surlana.
and we are live from Maker Faire here in Houston, Texas. It is exciting to be here, isn't it, Surlana?
Indeed. I was kind of blah this morning, but once things got up and rolling, we got power, we got internet, and I was like, oh, things are coming together.
Oh, I felt like death warmed over this morning because, we have our day jobs. And then after our day jobs, luckily we filled up the space van, before we came Thursday. I'm sorry. Thursday. And so right after work, I zoomed home. We made a few snacks to bring to the event. And
shouldn't admit that,
but that's fine. It's okay. Anyway, continue. So we basically went ahead and got the van, and
we've got it down to a science.
Yeah, we got it down
for mobile broadcasting.
Honestly, this is
very minimal
this
setup.
This is like the fourth setup kind of thing that we've done
You've got
before.
1, 2, 3 pieces of equipment.
Yeah, 3.
That's all I can see.
3 basic. We've got the computer. We've got the mixer, and then, of course, the splitter for the headphone set.
Yeah.
Now, of course, like a dummy, I didn't think to bring a stereo jack so that,
you can hear both ears.
I might have to check my bag. I think I might have one in the bag, now that I think about it.
Well, right now, it doesn't matter too much.
Well, I like stereo. I like to tune stuff out.
I do, too, but it works.
But anyway, so getting back on track, so that, we got here pretty late. We got out of here almost
9.
Yeah, it was almost 9. Because actually it was about 8:45. Because we zoomed, like we were talking, what are we going to eat? What are we going to eat? Because I'm hungry, and I keep talking about Burger King.
Why do you keep talking Burger King?
I'm telling you, this burger I had from Burger King, it's almost 3 weeks now ago that I keep talking about it. It was just delicious. It was just your basic Whopper with pickles and onions, and then I put a little bit of pepper on it.
But fortunately, our favorite place... Well, our favorite boss lady was open last night at 9.
Oh, yeah. She closes at 10. So we had, what is it, Cafe Chopstick? Mm-hmm. I don't mind plugging them.
No, not at all.
Yeah, when you're in Houston, check out...
It's off Katy Freeway.
Yeah. Right on the
across the road from the mall.
Yeah, opposite side of Memorial Mall.
Opposite side, north side of 10.
Ran by a very wonderful lady, and she's always pleasant. And
someday we should find out her name.
Yes. So, we just refer to her as the boss lady.
Yeah, it's her restaurant.
She's so nice that she hates me tipping her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's always like, she cracked me up last night because she was holding the receipt, and she says, no, sign here. Just sign here to prevent me from actually
giving a tip.
But anyway, back for what we're here for is the Maker Faire.
Yeah.
And what do we got a chance to roam the villages here, Surlana. And what is some of your assessment so far?
It seems like there's even more for kids to do, young kids, older kids. I'm talking about hands-on things. You can touch some things you can't.
Right.
But it's clearly marked. But for the most part, you're encouraged to come up, ask questions, interact. get involved. And that's the beauty of it. And they've got things that are really going on. They're interesting. They just had the first power tool race, which, where they take a power tool and they convert it into something that can move on its own. They race it.
That's cool because you bring that up, because last year when we were at Mini Maker Fair, we talked to David, and he was promoting that and coming up, and so
they were just I think they were coming up out of Austin, and they were just displaying the power tools, but now they're actually racing them here. And I guess this Maker Fair challenges other Maker Fairs in Texas.
It's what I like about that. It reminds me of a kid when I used to watch MacGyver.
Yeah,
you could take the stuff apart and then make other stuff out of them. I think that's a lost art on
repurposing.
But it's nice to see with the Maker Fair. You do see a lot of young adults here, even some children. That they're learning how to use motor skills, to use thinking outside the box, and
it's all about STEAM, which is an acronym, or STEM.
Mm-hmm.
It's science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Because I don't see how you can leave art out of any of that.
They just added the arts part not too long ago, right?
I think it's always been a movement. It's two separate kind of movements.
Kind of kept it separate.
How can you have art without science, or science without art? I just don't see how a person could live that way.
Well, I think to sum it up, it's kind of it's creativity at its core, and branching out from there. Because I agree with you. We passed this one lady that was repurposing these, those blue water drums that you see, and she had painted the outside, and it was really cool. I mean, I never thought about that, but you do see this more often though, because there's been, the city has commissioned certain people to paint the traffic machines that turn the lights off and on. They have painted some of those to
I didn't know
kind of
that.
give it a more artistic look. In fact, here at the George R. Brown, there's a few of those outside, and it had different cultural depictions on it, because Houston's such a diverse city, but the art that goes on it is just really great. So it gives the youth an outlet to be creative and impact the city and the environment that we live in. Mm-hmm. So the art is definitely something that is great to see.
And that's encouraged here at Maker Fair, because we talked to the coordinator, David. He was very adamant about getting more traditional makers here, people that, make quilts, that hand sew, or even, machine sew. There's a booth here that was here last year, how to make your own soap, your own nail polish.
For a second there, I thought you were going to say how to make your own dragon.
I'm sure that's here too. Somewhere.
Yeah,
just and Legos.
Just talking real quick, we passed a lady that was making your own soap. And man, that smells wonderful.
Oh, it does smell wonderful.
Yeah, it does smell wonderful.
Why couldn't we be next to her instead of the popcorn truck?
I'm an Irish Spring guy myself, but, I love that smell that when we passed. Oh, of course, it's hard. You bring up popcorn.
I mean, we're within eyesight.
Sniffing distance. So.
Yeah. And right behind us, we have drones.
Yeah.
We've got that going on. And across from us, there's an Idea Lab.
Mm-hmm.
It's an after-school. They have after-school classes, camps. They do birthday parties. They have leagues for kids. There's robots, more robots than you shake a stick at.
Yeah, and I always say this. It's important that we talk about that part, mm-hmm. is that we mentioned that, Makers is more than just robots.
And 3D printing.
And well, there's a lot of 3D printing.
There's a lot of 3D printing.
But the 3D printing is the
important.
is the way to go, because yes, you go ahead and I'll let you finish your thought.
Well, no, 3D printing is important because it's not just making little prototypes and things like that. You found someone who has found a way to take 3D printing to a new level for teaching.
Now I'm trying to remember. Oh, the violin part. Yes. This wonderful lady, she's from South Korea. Her name is, I'm going to just say Miss Yang. Mm-hmm. And I guess Grace is the up-and-coming thing that she's doing. And what she's done, and it's really fascinating, is that she has taken a typical violin, and she's gutted the bottom of it, and she's put in
no problem.
Put in I guess it looks like a Raspberry Pi, and she's drilled little holes into the fretboard, and it lights up. Think of it this way. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen the keyboards that are out there that light up to kind of teach you how to play piano. Well, it's a similar thing that she's done with a violin. And she started with a prototype with a violin, and then she went off to make just a woodworking one, which is kind of like, it's still basic.
The back's taken off of it.
And the back, and then I'll explain this in just a minute. And then she made one that was 3D printed, which was really cool, I thought. So going back to the one that's, the back is taken off, but it's just out of wood, is that it's a practice violin, which minimizes the sound so you don't disturb your neighbors. Of course, I don't see how playing a violin would disturb any neighbor. I think they would enjoy that, compared to some of the rock and roll hooligans that make a lot of noise, like bouncing basketballs off the other side of the wall.
But it's to practice your fingering.
Yeah, well,
on
the
board?
violin, yes, and the fretboard. But but it still plays loud enough that you can barely hear it. But she had one that was just like that model, but the next model next to it, it had like a little microphone speaker thing built right underneath to catch the sound.
She had one that was really stripped down.
So you could put the headphones in. Well, you probably be talking about the yellow one?
Yeah. Yeah,
the yellow one was 3D printed. And that was pretty fascinating. And so all of them were really interesting. And, we exchanged information, and hopefully we can, talk to her a little bit more later, or even build some kind of bridge to promote her in some way. So, but that was very cool. As a musician, I just go off the deep end.
That was the first thing you learned was violin,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
in fact, I picked it up as when I was a kid, about 5 years old. One of the method that was taught to me, which is a very popular method that came from Japan, was the Suzuki method. In that method, you basically you start off with a faux-looking violin. Actually, it looks more like an oversized popsicle. Think of a stick, popsicle stick, and then it has a square that's brown, and you practice, getting accustomed to playing it. And then the next step is to actually put you on a violin. So, so violin is always something that I always enjoy. And you probably will figure this out once I explain this to you. In most of my music, you do find a lot of violin in it, and strings. And it's just something that I love to listen to, and that's why I incorporate it in my own music.
So you would be excited for someone else who would like to learn violin to use her method?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's a great method, because you have the, like I said, those people that have pianos that light up. I think this is a great evolution in the sense of getting somebody piped into playing a violin is great. Just like, you have the guitar. You're learning guitar. They have the game, and I'm not talking about Guitar Hero. They actually have one where you plug in MIDI.
I know what you're talking about.
And to help you learn. Yeah, exactly. So the technology's out there, and the technology just really takes it to a new level with these instruments. And it's really great and cool to see that somebody is taking the violin and purpose that technology. Because, like I said, when I flipped it over, it has a Raspberry Pi in there. And so I guess to manage all the technology.
Was there wireless in it? Or
no, there were wires.
But it looked like she touched something on the iPad, and maybe it sent a program.
It probably could have been. I didn't get that far, but now that I think about it,
makes sense.
It's a Pi, Raspberry Pi, so it's capable of Bluetooth technology, and getting information like that. So she probably touched it. It downloaded the music to the thing where it showed the fingering on the fretboard.
That's so cool.
It is.
That is cool. So cool. I'm so glad you got to talk to her.
Yeah, because, as you could tell, I'm pretty excited about the subject matter.
Because you're a musician.
And so I have a lot to put on there, so there you go.
And, of course, we're running into old new friends from last year it's this year, from Comic Palooza.
Right.
Chris from Da Vinci, Jared from Creator Space. I haven't seen Josh from Exodus, but maybe he's around. But Exodus VR is here.
We talked to Patrick shortly.
Talked to Patrick
from
Farrell
the
right here.
Harris County Public Library.
They're almost directly across from us. He runs the maker space at the library, where you can go in, check out a book, or you can check out time on a 3D printer or a lathe if you need so. And you can ask for help to create your project. It's just very cool. And there's creator and maker spaces all over Houston, all over the country. So, and that's something we didn't know about.
Yeah, places to go when, for kids that maybe they don't have the technology or the materials to produce.
Well, I was talking to Jared. He showed us his new top hat where he has integrated, the steampunk goggles. Well, he's got them flashing LED lights underneath the eye pieces.
Right.
So I was saying, we should come down to your creator space down there in League City and bring your helmet with your astronaut outfit and maybe put in a cooling system with, like a CPU fan.
Right.
And maybe rig up some LED lights and try to figure out how can we get it to where it takes the weight off your shoulders so you're not carrying the weight on your shoulders with your costume. So
the astronaut's outfit is pretty heavy. Mm-hmm. To wear it all day, I mean, I really get a crick in my back of my neck down into between my shoulder blades. Mm-hmm. And so it's difficult to wear. I keep on thinking that maybe it's time for a spacesuit 2.0.
Yeah.
Something that's more light, more more modern. Because I've talked to you about how I'd love to get something that looks like the Martian, Matt Damon's costume.
Well,
you're probably gonna
or
even
have to,
something from Alien Covenant, because we've seen many things. What are you looking at there?
What is that?
Oh, it's out of the popcorn thing.
Oh, okay. It's a shell.
It's a shell. Well, she's freaking out, thinking it was a anyway.
Insect. I thought it was an insect.
So but yeah, I lost my train. Hey, spacesuit.
Spacesuit.
So yeah, the Alien Covenant. We've seen Adam Savage.
Yeah.
Go goo over those suits.
We're sitting in a place where you could talk to a number of people about how do you get started on creating your own custom cosplay outfit.
Now it makes me wonder if I should go and get one of these 3D printers and
Yeah, see, that's a project. It's not going to happen over a weekend. It's going to happen over a year.
Time.
Yeah, or more.
Time and space.
But yeah, so we also saw Jim Fox with Piezometry, and he's got his own podcast now.
Yeah.
So, but then we saw your beloved Cameron.
Oh yeah, Cameron. I like Cameron.
He's too old to adopt, but
he is a young man that back then when we first met him, I guess it was a year ago, wasn't it? A year ago? Yeah. At the first Maker Faire. And he was just young, bright, bushy-eyed tail. He got sucked into a cool job at NASA, but then he got found on the internet because he produces his own YouTube videos, and a job found him. And so he ended up working with them and, programming and all that good stuff. And he seems to be doing pretty good at that. And so maybe we'll talk to him a little bit later and as the events carry on for these next 2 days.
Indeed. Mm-hmm. And we'll be talking to, like I said, our old friends here, and we shot some B-roll earlier, and we'll be doing some, video interviews and audio interviews shortly.
Yeah, so, keep in, look at the SBU Twitterverse feed, at the SB Universe. A lot of pictures will be posted there through the event to see our setup. Of course, Surlana likes to remain anonymous. It's
just better for everyone that way, honestly.
She gave me the evil eye when somebody took her picture, and so...
Hopefully you'll never find that person will never surface.
So anyway, was there anything else that you saw out there? I mean, I know it's fresh.
Of course, we've got more art cars are here. The art car from last time with the singing fish and lobsters, he's here.
Yeah, he's over off on the side over here.
He's here. I don't know if he's got his little Segway set up, but there's some more art cars. And, of course, the Maker U-Bus is here. We interviewed those ladies at Comic Palooza. And the super impressive Lego area where the guys have set up, 2 scenes. One is like a futuristic space thing, and the other is more like a traditional railroad thing.
Yeah.
But the other one, that's kind of the futuristic Lego setup, it had all the kind of cool pop culture things.
Right.
The Spider-Man, Batman. It had a TARDIS. It had the aliens from Alien movies, the xenomorphs with eggs, and I didn't know you could get those if they built those themselves or if that's like a kit you can buy.
I wonder if it's a part of the new Lego set called Dimensions, because
they had a Stargate.
Yeah, the Stargate, and because I remember when they were first coming out with the Dimensions.
Yeah.
Of all people, what's his name from Community? Joe McHale was the voice with the commercial, or I think he was even in the commercial. And so he basically was talking about the thing, and it had Back to the Future. It had
I remember that.
The Doctor Who.
Oh, of course, Batman.
Mel version.
Well, passive aggressive.
So anyway, I won't get into my seated emotions about Doctor Who rants, but the art cars are back. Well, more art cars. They had this one that had Frida on it.
Frida Kahlo.
Yeah, but I couldn't figure out who the person next to
I don't know you'd
have
to go there and ask.
I didn't want to assume anything, but yeah, it was kind of odd. But yeah, maybe we could follow up on that.
Yeah, I like that one. It's got glasses on it, like giant eyeglasses.
They had this one art car in the back that was really cool. That it was painted. I'm trying to think. Maybe it was a Scion, a small van.
It could be.
A Scion van, and it was painted very colorful. And it was using the art, Alaskan Native American art.
Yeah, native-looking Alaskan art.
And I just thought that was just really cool looking. I mean, the bumper. I mean,
that is on our Spaceboy Universe Facebook, and it should be on Twitter as well.
Oh, so you've already put some of that? Okay,
I did.
cool.
I took those pictures last night. Just knowing around.
Okay. Yeah, we'll probably make some rounds here very shortly. Take some more pictures, and just keep looking for the feed. And I'm sure by the time you hear this, if it's not live, you just go through the Uverse, Twitterverse feed. Not Uverse. I'm sorry, that's something different I don't want to talk about. And it seems like our flight is boarding. It is on aisle 8 that we need to pick up our tickets. And so, but yeah, other than that, I guess continue listening to us, and we'll go from there.
All right, so we're back, and so that was a little introduction for the Maker Faire. And so, Surlana,
yes,
just want to remind you that we're going to take a little break like we do at the bottom of the hour, and it's great to see all our space cadets in there chatting away. And so continue to chat, whatever you want to chat, as long as you're hanging out with the old space crew. That's all that matters, is we're one big happy family here at the SBU, and you're listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network and Paranormal UK Radio Network. And we'll be right back after this. So you're tuned into Spaceboy and Surlana's fabulous show called Spaceboy Universe, and you know we love to explore, and that's what we did this last week, as we explored the Maker Faire. And okay, remember you have a connection to audio over here, so
that was really weird.
I wonder if you have your default sound set.
I don't know about this computer.
Okay,
I'm not familiar with it.
So anyway, Surlana, here's your chance to unbore yourself and talk a little bit about the convention we went to.
It was awesome for two reasons. One, it's definitely in the spirit of this show where it fires up my curiosity and imagination. And everything was really nifty, really cool. Mm-hmm. It made me wish I was interesting or creative or had something to contribute to the world. I don't. Especially when we met the woman who was 3D printing violins and rigging them with LED lights to an app that showed you fingering techniques to play the violin, so you can learn to play the violin.
I thought that was really cool, and I enjoyed that immensely talking to her. I had to slow down a little bit. Her English was still a work in progress, but it was a challenge. I mean, not a challenge. It was a pleasure to speak to her because I feel like I connected with her through music, and to be able to talk, music one, technology two. And it was just really cool to see what she had done putting all that equipment together. Because initially her first project that she put together was an original violin, and she cut the back out to allow the electronics to be placed inside that. But then, she had a series of violins showing her progress, what she was leading up to. Eventually she had a 3D printed violin, which was really cool because this thing was bright yellow and could have stopped traffic at a light. I mean, it was that bright. But the thing is that it demonstrates how you can create your own instrument using these 3D printers. And, as we get a little bit further into the show, we'll bring that up as far as the 3D printing aspect. But getting back to Grace is that she just really had these wonderful instruments. She even had a couple instruments where, the practice where, with a practice violin, it doesn't make a lot of sound because it's missing a lot of the body. So you really can't, it doesn't play loud. It just plays personally to yourself.
Yeah.
And she had a secondary one that was like that, but then she had a pickup built into it where you could plug headphones into it, where still you wouldn't be bothering the neighbors next door, but you would be able to hear the resonance and the actual sound piping through a set of headphones. I thought that was really cool because I've never seen anything like that done before, unless it was preamped, mic'd up through an amp and all that other stuff. And this little device that she had was just really cool. So I was just impressed because, like I said, I've seen the violin, seen pianos where they light up like these Casios and you play along and it teaches you how to play. Even with some computer stuff, we've seen some stuff where you can learn to play. But in this, to be able to actually see a violin and the possibility of something, as a an idea that has been created, I could see it going way much further as a teaching aid for teachers and their students. So, it's just really cool to see that aspect of it.
That was the most fascinating thing for me to see was the violin, and I met some makers that, excuse me.
Did I derail you over there, Surlana?
I'm trying not to cough.
Okay, we'll fix this in post. And 3, 2, 1. Now you're back on.
Okay. What I liked about it is we saw people we made friends with at Comic Palooza because, there was a maker space in Comic Palooza. Mm-hmm. And so we got to see them again and mess with them and have fun, like Chris Harris and, Jared Williams. So, again, the guys from Houston VR and Exodus VR. But we got to meet other makers I think we should have met last time, like the people from Maker Barn. They have a cool story, and we'll probably play that video too. the whole laser woodcut thing fascinates me. Mm-hmm. So you're cutting wood with laser precision or an actual laser?
With lasers. You're doing our best, Austin Powers, Professor Evil here, or Dr. Evil.
Dr. Evil.
Yes, with lasers. But, all their stuff was very interesting, laser cut wood. It wasn't very thick, but, I guess to allow the lasers to cut properly and...
some of the things, like balsa wood,
Yeah, that's the impression I got because they had several different, like the AT-AT walkers. They had a pretty sizable one, like that you would get out of the Kinder Toys.
They are. Is there AT-AT? I always thought they were at.
Well, it's just potatoes. I'm sure.
Maybe I've got it wrong.
No,
I'm not an expert on Star Wars.
I'm not an expert either. But anyway, so as we descend down into the pits of arguments, the thing is they had a size that you could get like the Kinder Toys, and then they had smaller versions, that you could, like little knickknacks. And then they had some other cool things, here and there. But it was just really cool, the items that they had. Even a TARDIS, probably it was about 2 inches tall and maybe 1 inch wide and 1 inch deep. And so those were kind of cool, too. So a lot of their products were quite interesting. Do we have that interview, Surlana? With Maker Barn?
Let me see here.
And
Tiny Machines. Yep. I got it.
And how long is that clip?
4 minutes, 12 seconds.
Let's go ahead and play that clip because I got a chance to talk with. It starts with a G, and I
think it was George.
George, that's right.
There it is.
So here's George and my conversation at the Maker Faire.
There you go.
I'm Spaceboy, and for the camera.
Co-op school. They've got 5 acres, and they had this barn they weren't using, an old horse barn. And they said, well, why don't you build it in here? And we all looked at it and go, oh, man, I don't know. That's going to be quite a job. But we got together a bunch of volunteers and some volunteer funds, and it took us about a year, but we built out the space. It was like building a 3,200 square foot building inside the barn. And we opened officially about a year and a half ago. And now we're up at about 112 members right now, and mostly woodworkers. We've got a good woodworking shop downstairs. We have a little bit of a machine shop, welding area, and then upstairs is a technology and crafts area. So a lot of kids, we do a maker camp in the summertime for the kids, but basically we make stuff. People come in and they make stuff and they leave.
So what got you into that aspect? I mean, was there something else you were doing before that I guess at some point you said, I think I'd like to do this?
Well, I don't know. I guess as a kid I was making stuff and I never grew out of it. I was a design engineer. I self-employed for the most time, and designing products for various people, and it was just a natural thing. I want other people to learn how to do the same thing. And the best way to do that is start with kids, and the best way to start with kids is to make sure the adults know what they're doing. So the whole idea of our makerspace is it's an adult makerspace designed to be kid-friendly. So dad can bring his son there or daughter there, or mom can bring her daughter, and they can work together on projects, and it makes projects and it makes memories. So
sounds great. I was looking at all the products you have here that have been designed. It looks like a lot of woodworking. You want to tell us a little bit about this?
Well, this is mostly the work of Greg Radliff. He's an incredible artist, retired fighter, but and it's most of this here has been done on a laser. The lasers, we have 2 lasers, and they're really popular. They're very simple. If you can draw it in a computer in a 2D drawing program, like Corel Draw or something like that, you can cut it on the laser.
Kind of like a three-dimensional puzzle, kind of put it together, right?
I'm sorry, what's it?
Like a three-dimensional puzzle, kind of?
Yeah. If you're a good designer, you can take these 2D objects and become 3D objects. And and of course, we do have 3D printers, and like I said, probably 80% of our adults are woodworkers. So they're making everything from cutting boards to dining room tables.
Yeah, because when I saw, the 3D kind of thing with the filaments and all of that seems like a big explosion. But I like this because it's unique and the woodworking. Because when I was in school, we had wood shop and all that good stuff. And so it's kind of a toss back to me for that time period. So, George, if people wanted to reach out to you on your social media or websites, where could you tell them to go?
Well, the best thing to do is start with themakerbarn.org. And at the bottom, we have links to our Facebook page. The Facebook page is probably the most active thing. We post there regularly. The web page is a little more static than that, but that's a good way of getting a hold of us.
Well, George, we appreciate you taking a little time out for the universe, and we wish you well, I guess, for not too much longer here for this year's Maker Faire.
Yeah, well, we'll be here again next year, so.
You better believe it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, George was an interesting guy, and all the things that we saw there were quite interesting as well. The woodworking was what I liked about it because it was different. Like I said in the interview with George, was that it's a throwback to working with wood versus the new technology is you've got the plastic filament that creates these new 3D.
Those were jointed, right? It all moved, didn't it?
Yes, it was able to
interlocked.
And don't get me wrong, you can create devices with 3D printing with the filament and make moving parts.
Right. It's just two ways to do it.
Yeah. So there's just I think with the woodworking, it was a lot more joint work than there was with the 3D printing. Now the thing is, one of the biggest things that we saw at that event was an explosion of a couple of things, and we'll get into the second thing a little bit here later. But 3D printing was king. I mean, everywhere you look, there was some kind of 3D printer thing going on. It was, I'd say, a good portion of the event had several 3D printers out there.
Was that 3D model thing 3D printing, or was that something different?
3D model printing.
Where you stepped into this thing and it took a full body picture of you, and
how do you? I guess that was because you're. It's like you're scanning yourself. Okay,
but it was more realistic.
The thing is that. So that we can explain to our audience, there was a device where you stepped in and it would scan your whole body, kind of, think of scanning a document, but instead scan something 3D. So,
like a little chamber you went in.
And so once you get the scan done, and then you can print up the device or device. Let's say I stepped in there with my spacesuit. You can later print that out. I guess they have a special printing device at another location that prints the model up and then paints it and all that with I guess think of it as cartridges to print. So, but when you get the final product, it's a 3D printed version of yourself that just took a picture. So I thought it was really cool, and it's made with the same type of resin that you see in some of these 3D printers. So yeah, you're absolutely right that was really cool in the sense of being able to scan, and I've kind of seen some other products out there. In fact, there was a Star Trek thing where you could send a picture or something of yourself in, and they would put your likeness onto the body of a didn't
they do that on Big Bang Theory?
I think
and
they
one
did.
of them got in trouble for how expensive it was.
Yeah, so the thing is, at the end of the day, that technology is really cool because it's kind of like taking 3D pictures, and you're getting the full scan of the whole thing. And I'm seriously thinking about doing something in the suit and getting it done in 3D because the pricing was not that expensive for a model that was, I guess, 12 inches tall. And so at some point, and they're pretty close to where we live, close to 610. So we would have to make a day of that and have some fun and get that done. So yes, anytime, but I have to whip out the suit, is always a challenge.
You need a figure of yourself, desperately.
I do, but that's something that I thought was fun. Now, like I said, there was a big explosion this year compared to last year with the 3D printing. And, we talked to Patrick Ferris of the Houston Public...
Patrick Farrell.
Farrell, I'm sorry.
Okay, see, that's how I know you're not.
And I will admit I'm maybe a little bit tired tonight. I haven't been sleeping well, but that is no excuse to give you a quality show. So I'm terribly sorry. And so, anyway, Patrick, we
It's
talked
cool.
to, he has been working with
Harris County
Harris
Public
County
Library.
Public Library. And they have, initially they started off with a room where, if you wanted to try out 3D printing or make things, you could come over to the library system that had this one particular room. Now they've expanded and they've got, several locations where you could do this. So, and plus he's gotten kind of a promotion of sorts to kind of oversee this as well.
He's trying to get maker spaces in other public libraries across Harris County.
So, and do we have an interview with him, Surlana, lined up there?
Let me see.
And so, he's a wonderful gentleman. And like I said, we met
do
him.
have it. It's not in the playlist. Hold on.
So we met him last year, and really, really a nice guy. I just want to call him a gentle giant because he's pretty tall and big. And I am.
There it is.
There we go. So I am Spaceboy, and so let's play that clip, and so we can get to refresh ourselves with Patrick.
Joined here with Patrick. How are you, Patrick?
I am a little tired, but doing great. Excited.
I can tell you've had a busy day today. Patrick, we've had you on previously when it was the Mini Maker Fair, and now it's the Maker Fair. What do you think about the big change there?
It's a lot more people. I got to give credit to the organizers. They're doing a lot more work. I hope they get some sleep next week when this is all done. I'm really excited to see the big crowds turn out. I'm excited to have it to be a 2-day festival. I'm excited to be a full-fledged Maker Fair this year, get a little more sponsors, a little more visibility about all the great things that makers are doing in the Houston community.
So remind our audience exactly a little bit about yourself and where you've been since the last time we talked to you.
Well, I started out, I'm with Harris County Public Library. I am currently the Maker Programming Specialist. And last time we talked, I was working at the Freeman Branch Library in the Jocelyn H. Lee Innovation Lab, which is our sort of flagship makerspace for Harris County Public Library. Since then, I've moved into an administration role where I'm working to put makerspaces into more branches and get more maker programming and STEM programming out into the branches more than we already do. Right now, we have 4 locations with 3D printing available, soon to have 3 more come online. We have 3 locations with makerspaces, including the administration building, the branch in Freeman, and our branch down in Seabrook. And we're looking to expand makerspaces in the libraries themselves so that all the cool things you see going on at Maker Fair, like the coding and the programming and the 3D printing and the laser cutting and the building and the making and the creativity and all that exciting stuff, you're actually able to find it at the local public library.
So it sounds like since the last time we spoke with you, is that things have kind of really exploded.
Well, it has, and my role has expanded to talk about more branches, to talk about something more than just outside of the 3D printing and the stuff we did at Freeman. I'm really excited because our director of the library system is really excited about expanding this throughout the system so that we don't just have 1 or 2 places, but geographically, because Harris County Public Library covers the entire county from Tomball to Seabrook out to Spring and Atascocita. We're everywhere, and we need these types of resources everywhere throughout the county as well. So we're really excited about expanding that way.
So when you say these resources, where are the resources coming from? Is it from sponsors? Is it from, I guess, individuals like say, Joe Q. Public? Where are they coming from?
Well, in the case of the Innovation Lab at the Freeman Library, that came from a bequest by Mr. Jocelyn H. Lee. When he passed away, he left the Freeman branch some money, and they were able to put the makerspace in from that. For the other ones, most of our libraries have friends groups, which are nonprofits that support the library. And so they raise money for makerspaces. They raise money for 3D printers. And so that's another big way. And they make all their money from donations to the friends groups and book sales and used book sales and so forth. So it's a lot of volunteer effort. It's a lot of volunteer contributions. And then, of course, the county kicks in some to help cover the difference.
So now you've taken on a role here at the Maker Fair, and kind of tell us a little bit about how you're involved more so this year into the Maker Fair.
Well, this year Harris County Public Library is a sponsor. This is our first year to be a sponsor, And our sponsorship is for the education pavilion. So we have 7 classrooms where we have classes going on all weekend, all today and all tomorrow, different topics from circuits to coding to making liquid rainbows and how to start your own robotics league, that type of stuff. And so our role, and my role this year, is to organize those classrooms and kind of herd the cats into the right place. I'm afraid that right now some of the cats might be wandering, but they can find their way home.
So how's it going so far, your assessment?
It's pretty good. I think there's some lessons learned, certainly things that we can do better next year. I look forward to writing all those down tonight, keeping my journal, and say, okay, next time we can do this better. But we've been excited to have people in the classes. We had a Raspberry Pi class that was full. I just talked to one of our HCPL employees who taught a coding class in Scratch, and she said she had a full class, and everyone left excited about coding. I've seen classes using squishy circuits. I've seen classes over there with basic circuits. I've saw a classroom full of people learning about how to patent their inventions. So I think it's going really well.
Very cool. So if people wanted to reach out to you, Patrick, how could they do that?
Well, my email is patrick.ferrell, Ferrell, at hcpl.net, or they can find me on Twitter at pbferrell.
Okay, great. Well, Patrick, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule, and we always look forward to seeing you at each event. So thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you.
And Patrick is a great guy. I like Patrick. Very easygoing, laid back, and
so I'm Spaceboy.
Wait a minute, sorry, I didn't tell it to do that.
And do you have autoplay over there? Anyway, so I wanted to line this up because, like I said, there was a lot of 3D printing going on, and we got a chance to meet with this other vendor, or not a vendor. Well, yeah, I guess a vendor,
exhibitor,
and why don't you just go ahead and roll it, Surlana, and that way our audience can get to know him. And then
with Tiny Machines.
Tiny Machines.
And you are?
I'm Chris Bennett.
Go ahead.
With Tiny Machines 3D.
Tiny Machines 3D. One of the things that caught my eye was your banner. I think it's really cool. It's hip. So tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay, we take a Chinese brand printer, Creality 3D, and we import them, we unpackage them, test them, add upgrades, we add a warranty and customer service to it, and we take out the risk of ordering from overseas.
Oh, wow. So what are some of the benefits of the machines that you're using?
Well, the large build platform is the biggest advantage. The Creality CR10 is probably one of the most popular 3D printers being sold right now, and it has a build volume of 12 by 12 by 16, and it has a price point of around $500. So it's a very popular machine.
And I was going to say, over the years I've seen these things come down significantly in price, and they're getting very affordable. What would be the selling point on coming to you for a 3D printer?
The service and the warranty.
Well, that's always good.
I have a vast knowledge of these machines and other 3D printers, and my customers all agree.
So tell us, since you've been in the business for a while, some of the benefits of getting a 3D printer.
You can prototype parts. So if you're in metal fabrication, you can test things out with plastic before you spend the money on the metal. If you're just an entrepreneur and you want to start designing things, you buy a machine, and it's a lot cheaper than having somebody else print the parts for you.
Have you been in the tech field business for a while, or is this something you saw, hey, man, this is really interesting, I want to get into this? What was your catalyst to get into this?
Well, I was a teacher for 15 years. Should I be looking at the camera?
You can look at me.
Okay.
Whatever's comfortable to you.
Yeah, I was a teacher for 15 years. I taught how to build racing engines for cars. And so I have a mechanical background, I have an electrical background, electronics a little bit, and I've been in 3D printing for about 2 years, and I saw a void. Okay, a lot of people were ordering from China, and 50% of them had zero issues, 50% of them had a lot of issues. And it was daunting to some of the new 3D printer hobbyists because they had to fix things when their machines arrived. So I started the company, Tiny Machines 3D, and I started selling machines that were already tested. And so when you get the machine, you put it together, you have the confidence that it's going to work. And if it doesn't work, I send the parts to you, and I'm stateside. So that's the biggest advantage.
So getting back more to the technical side of it, when you sell these printers, what is, you have the printer.
But I'm sure there's some software that might be needed to go along with it. What would you recommend for those who are getting into this?
For kids, I would start them with Tinkercad. Okay, that's a free cloud-based CAD software. If you're a teenager and up, I would look at Fusion 360. That's a very powerful CAD software that's relatively inexpensive. It has professional capabilities. Doesn't have all the simulation stuff that SolidWorks or ProE has, but it has all the CAD design power that you need to design really intricate things and assemblies. So slicing software, there are plenty of free ones. There's Cura Slicer with a 3 in the E. Those are my two preferred free ones. I use Simplify 3D. That's the most powerful slicer in my opinion, and I use that. That's a paid software, of course.
Well, it sounds like you got quite a few options that are out there, and it kind of reminds me of the early days of the internet when you could get a lot of things free, and which is always cool because I know as a musician personally, in the early days, Fruity Loops and some other software, Acid, they were free initially, or the cost for them were very nominal. So it's nice to see that to get into this kind of projects, you don't have to spend a lot of money.
Correct. We have machines all the way down in the under $200 range, the Ender 2 over here. So it's a very small build volume. It's great for kids. The quality is great. Okay, it just has a small build volume. Easy to put together. Somebody with a little bit of aptitude can put it together in about 45 minutes.
Oh, awesome.
The larger machines go together in probably 20 to 30 minutes. They're mostly assembled when you get them. Yeah.
All right. Well,
open source is a big deal, and it's really opened up 3D printing to everybody. These machines have a big following, so on Thingiverse you can download upgrades for the hot ends, for the fan mounts, for basically anything.
I like the fact that you can customize it. You get a basic package, and then if you need a little bit of this or a little bit of that, depending on what your flavor is that you're looking for, you can customize it. So that's great to see.
Yeah, that's exactly why I suggest these machines for somebody getting into 3D printing, because it doesn't take you a long time to build, and it's a great chassis to add all kinds of upgrades. You can do plugins with Octoprint, you can do webcams, all that sort of thing, and you don't have to spend a lot of money on the machine initially.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time out for Spaceboy Universe, and we look forward to talking to you in the future again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so rule number 1, Surlana, is when you're interviewing, they should always look at me.
I didn't tell him to do anything. I just was filming.
No, I just thought it was funny because it threw me off guard when we were talking. Should I look in the camera or, No, just look at me and we're having a conversation. The camera's not there. So, but anyway, it was a good conversation. And
I was just trying to stay still. Like I always concentrate on stay still, stay still.
But, it was nice to talk to somebody that actually produces these and sells these and puts them out there. So, another good interview. So we'll go ahead and take our top of the hour break. And when we come back, we'll do some more interviews, talk to the Space Cadets in the chat room. And, it's all good in the neighborhood. We're just so happy to be back on the air. And as we make it through the top of the 9th, where the score is 1-1, don't go anywhere. right, we're back. That was Cosmic Surfer.
Gorgeous.
A song I wrote for Jill Hansen of the Q Science Project, I believe is the name of her wonderful show that airs Friday nights on the KGRA network. Tell her I said hello. If you go out there and say, hey, we heard your song, man. It was groovy. So anyway, back to our show, which is here on the SBU network and also broadcast on the Paranormal UK radio network. So we're talking about the Maker Faire from last week, and we were, you had lots of, 3D printing, as I was talking before, and Surlana,
Yes.
we go from makers with 3D printing to VR, which I think that was a pretty heavy
we
thing.
have 2 VRs.
Yeah, there's 2 VRs. The previous Maker Faire last year didn't have any VRs that I could recall, and this year they had 2. And VR is pretty exciting, let me tell you. And what's really even more exciting is the unit that I got to play, the Oculus, has dropped significantly since initially it came out, because initially it was $800, and now it's down to $400, which 50% drop. And
yeah, true.
Like I said, I've only played the one game, and each time I've played it is like, I really don't want to do any more interviews.
And that's on Steam too.
I want to do this all day.
If you were to get that equipment, my desktop says it's VR ready.
Mm-hmm.
So you can play them on my computer.
So I had an opportunity to play the game, and then I got the chance to interview a nice young lady representing her name was Hannah with Exodus VR. Now,
yes.
What's one thing right off the bat was cool, it kind of just kind of got my eye, was this was a company that was created by women.
Here in Houston.
And here in Houston. And, once again, maybe I'm just getting to that age where maybe it surprises me because, growing up, I didn't see a lot of women in the arcade, playing games or being a part of it. Because, when I think back to my arcade experiences, it was always with my cousins or my best friends and all that stuff. And so it was more of a dude thing in my eyes. But, I think it's cool you've got these women who have come along and have been a major part of, one, video games and programming.
Coding and programming.
And now
story development,
and now having their own VR arcade thing. So it was really cool. So, do we have that clip lined up,
yes,
Surlana? So let's go ahead and let's see that, or talk to. Let's listen to that interview with Hannah.
Hannah, and I'm with Exodus VR.
Well, Hannah, we just got a demonstration of the VR system. I played the game before, but it was even more so fun because last time I didn't have the headphones on with all the music and the excitement and all that. What can you tell us a little bit about your organization?
So our organization is one of the only organizations in Houston that has a multiplayer game for Oculus, and what we do is you can have 2 to 6 players, you come together and you're in an escape room type game, and we have 2 games. One is you are in the cosmos, you're on a spacecraft, and you're trying to escape in an hour, and the other one is called Mind Hole, and you're in the mind of a psychopath, and he has kidnapped a child, and you have to find out where the child is before he comes out of his coma. And it's just crazy. You can see each other in the game. You can interact, you can high-five each other, you can fly. We don't use controllers, we use our hands. Your hands are the controllers. You can move your fingers in the game, wave to each other. It's crazy.
So, earlier this year on our show, we were talking about predictions of the future. And one of the things that we were so tuned in with, and Surlana, my co-host, was she was saying that VR is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And we've seen that pretty prevalent here at this Maker Faire this year. What can you tell us on the insights of what you know as a professional being around it, of what is yet to come?
It's just crazy how far advanced it's already coming. But yeah, it's going to be improving more and more. As you guys probably know, it's starting to come into the medical field. I feel like it has big steps and strides it can make in all types of companies. Oil manufacturers use it for simulators. Medical use it to learn how to do different operations before they put those students into the hospitals. It's just, you can do classrooms. It's crazy. We have such far more steps that we can go, but what we have already is just amazing to me.
Yeah, I saw an article online that even doctors are using it they do the scan and then they plan out their operations so they can figure out the best way to maybe remove a tumor or to do any types of surgery. So that is quite fascinating. So tell us, are you based in the Houston area here?
Yes, we are. We're just about 5 minutes away from here. If you will look at our lovely college, you can have birthday corporate events here. We are located on Southwest Freeway, so come see us. We're Exodus VR. We would love to have everybody.
That's awesome. And one last thing, because we are very pro-women in just about anything, like STEM was definitely something that Surlana and I like to promote. But women to promote VR, this company, and tell us a little bit about that real quick.
So I am one of the employees at Exodus VR. The people who founded Exodus, they're 2 women. We are all women staff, and it's great to know that's why I came to this company. It's just great to know that women are even making stride in not just virtual reality, but video games. Me growing up, I pursued video games. I went to school to be a video game designer, and I'm just so lucky to be at Exodus to know that women have such a powerful role.
That's awesome to hear. Well, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule, and I look forward to seeing you out there in the world, in the virtual world.
Happy to see you there.
Thank you.
So, yeah, Hannah was a delight to talk to and very positive, and it's always nice to meet bright young people such as Hannah. And, she definitely seemed like she enjoyed working with the VR, and it was quite the pleasure to talk to her. Now, I
wish we could afford to go.
Well, but at some point we'll probably get down there because there's an interview there that I don't want to get into, but one of the ladies that's involved with that organization has an interesting backstory, and we'd love to get her on for a separate type of interview. I mean, we would talk about the VR thing, but I don't want to go into it because I want to get it, lined up. But, you've got another interview lined up, and let's go ahead and go directly into that, Surlana.
Ready?
Yes, go ahead.
Hey, this is Spaceboy, and, today we've been talking a lot about the major thing that's happening here at the Maker Faire today, guys, and y'all are representing it, and that's virtual reality. So before we start, and I already know one of you, but go ahead and introduce yourselves, and then we'll kick it from there.
Hi, I'm Josh Bankston. I do Houston VR Dev meetups, and I'm an organizer for that and co-organizer with Eric here at Houston VR.
I'm Eric Liga, co-founder of the Houston VR Meetup. We've been holding monthly meetups for about 3.5 years now. Also working with the Immersive Technology Conference that does a VR and AR in business and industry focus here in November.
Oh, awesome. Now, gentlemen, at the beginning of this year, as I've been telling our audience, and they know that we usually do a prediction show of what's ahead in the future. We covered the different topics on our list, but one of them is technology. And this year, Surlana basically said, VR is not going away. It's here to stay. And a lot of things we saw we were coming up with Oculus Rift and all this good technology. And so elaborate, where we're at now from 10 months ago from when we made our statements to where even when we talked to you last time back with Comic Palooza and the excitement was brewing then, how the technology has come along.
Yeah, I like to make the analogy that this is kind of like the iPhone 1 era, right? So we've had 10 years of the iPhone. Do you see where smartphones have come, how many leaps forward we have in technology? And it's just starting to get that steam rolling here in the VR AR space as well. Oculus just announced they're coming out with some new hardware. They're really going to change the game. HTC is making big strides as well. All the companies are doubling down, tripling down, and more and more big players are jumping into that bucket.
There's a lot of hard problems to solve to get VR to fulfill its potential, to have the visual fidelity and the comfort and the ability to move freely. And we're knocking a lot of those problems down. The whole industry has been working together, and we're seeing it cross some milestones where use cases that weren't previously possible are becoming things that people are looking at very carefully. In a lot of the different industries, in medicine and oil and gas training and architecture, education, you're seeing them say, okay, well, this is suddenly a lot less expensive than it was and a lot better than it was. What are the new use cases? And they're in the process of figuring those out and running with them. And it's an exciting time to be in the field.
There was a really fun new thing we got to try recently when we went to San Francisco for Oculus Connect. We actually got to get in a fireman's jacket that heated up when you got close to fire in VR, and you had an actual nozzle with an HTC puck tracker on it, and when you pulled it back to release the water, you had back pressure. So just those kind of use cases, like Eric here got to train for a crane simulator to actually use a crane. Worked on it, it was 15, 30 minutes?
It was almost an hour.
Okay, it was almost an hour. But then he got to go and transition and actually use and operate a real crane.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really amazing. The stuff translated one-to-one. It was an exact translation. And I mean, with what's a company called ITI, they've got it set up. You've got the laptop, you've got the tracking camera, and you've got the 4 joysticks, which they can swap out to match whichever model crane you're training for. And they can simulate things in there that would be dangerous or difficult to simulate otherwise, like a chain breaking or high winds or one of the supports sinking down to the soil. And the traditional crane simulators, which have more limitations to them, they cost over $100,000 to take up the size of a room. This is something they can put in a Pelican case and fly wherever they're going, set up a room full of 6 of them and run people through it. And it's extremely effective. They're even talking with the industry about potentially allowing people to certify to operate a crane from within VR. So it's really amazing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up using a kind of like a remote technology aspect of it, and one thing I was really fascinated with some of this is the medical usage, where doctors can take a CAT scan, if you will, and actually, okay, well, here's the tumor. What's going to be the best way to operate on the patient? So that aspect in the field of medicine is just incredible, but it's also really great to hear that when you take this technology and you can create real-world situations, instead of just give it the candy-coated when, hey, I'm operating a crane, where, oh my God, this is just broke. What am I going to do? What's the fix for this? I mean, it really gives you the person who's immersed in the virtual world to that technology. Now, I want to also add that the technology has come a long way. I'm not saying that the Virtual Boy was anything close to what virtual reality is.
Virtual Boy, we all love it.
Yeah, so, I mean, unless you, one, were colorblind, or, and two, if you didn't get an epileptic seizure from watching the thing. Right. And I had really kind of high hopes for when that was being announced, but like I said, it's not VR. Right. But it kind of was kind of like, okay, this is kind of a doorway, but to what could be VR. But then, and at that time, when VR started coming along, you had the bulky equipment and everything, and very difficult.
I mean, NASA's been working on this for 4 decades. I mean, they were one of the really big pioneers in the industry. But even then, they were using CRT monitors. It had to be held from a cable from the ceiling because it would literally break your neck if you had all that weight on your head. And being such a specific use case, they weren't able to really run across some of these corner cases that happen in VR, needing 90 frames per second, needing the lowest latency possible, things that can cause some kind of motion sickness that they weren't able to really fine-tune or refine because they didn't have such a big market penetration. But now that there's so many things happening, so many ideas being sought after, they're really fine-tuning and finessing all those things out and sussing out the issues that really you can jump into VR now and you don't have any of those problems from yesteryear. And even more so in the coming next few years, 3-5 years, you're going to see some amazing stuff coming out.
once they get the resolution up in the second generation headsets, one of the big use cases that a lot of people are excited for is actual desktop replacement, being able to pull out giant windows and throw, okay, I've got a big window over here that's got a movie playing, I've got my spreadsheet here, I've got programming over here, and the resolution isn't quite high enough to pull that off because you're taking this resolution and spreading it across your entire field of view. And once we cross that, there's going to be a lot of usability cases for that, especially with collaborative work, being able to be in a shared environment with someone and working together. So, I mean, you're going to see a lot of things over the next 2 or 3 years as they get them wireless, so you're not, tethered down with a wire. You get the resolution up, you get the weight down, and it's just going to open up a lot of possibilities.
Well, even with that, I had the opportunity to play again my favorite space game over there, and what's impressive is the technology is not that bulky as it is now, and even the sound quality from the headset was quite impressive, and whether it be the music, which I was jamming out to, or even the sound effects that go along with the game. Now, there was a couple moments where I feel like I'm naturally in tune, where I could feel the chord where I would swing the grappling hook to catch one of the robots.
Right.
But I was just instinctively, I knew to get out of the way and kind of maneuver.
Right.
But, you're probably going to still have those newbies that come along that they're still kind of developing. But overall, I'm giving this an A+ where we're at. And if the future is that much more brighter, I cannot wait to see what's ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we all fell in love with it. I mean, I was a backer for the original Oculus Rift Kickstarter. I saw the presentation, was like, okay, I have to have this. I got it home, and it's like, okay, it's a little rough, but the potential is definitely huge. And so, I mean, we started doing meetups at that point with the DK1 Rift. And, you got the people that are kind of like, it's got all these problems, I can't see past it. And other people that are like, oh, my gosh, I see where this is headed, and I can see past all these things. And it's been exciting watching that gap close where, you can now take people and put them in it and go, immediately you see that aha, the light bulb go, oh, wow, this changes everything. So
one of the things that Oculus announced this year at their Connect conference was that in the not-too-distant future, it's looking like probably early 2019, they're going to have what they're calling the Santa Cruz headset. That's full motion controller tracked and full headset like the Rift or like the Vive, but untethered. So everything's in the headset. You have no cord bothering you. You can just move around in your space freely and do whatever your mind can imagine, really. I like to say, if the sky's the limit in virtual reality, we just invent a new sky.
Now, I was going to ask, because you bring up a good, interesting question here, is that wireless.
Yes.
Going wireless means that you have to have an onboard power supply of some kind, and in the past, that has usually added bulk to the headset.
Right.
So what are we looking at now? I mean, with technology growing smaller and smaller, the power consumption must seem to be going down with it.
Right.
So what are we looking down the road with these virtual reality sets?
Well, with there's a TPcast add-on right now for the HTC Vive that allows you to go wireless, and it has a small battery pack that can go at the back of your head and actually kind of counterbalances the weight from the front. But if you need a longer charge without having to swap batteries, they've got a belt pack, and you can just clip it onto the belt. But yeah, it's miniaturizing batteries and getting the weight down and the power up is sort of a holy grail for a lot of industries right now. So hopefully it'll piggyback off of some of that. But yeah, as you said, as the electronics miniaturize and so on, they're going to draw less power, and that'll be less of a problem anyway.
A good example is like the HTC Vive right now has base stations with 2 drums in it that do the tracking in space. But they're refining it to where it only needs 1 drum, so it uses less components, which is less power. Already they only use 10 watts of power. So you bring less equipment in, that means less power needed to be able to track. And all that kind of refinement is happening across the board. So yes, there definitely needs to be a lot more work done that are done by much smarter engineers than I even come close to, but it's coming, and it's coming sooner rather than later.
Well, this sounds great, guys, and like I said, when we did our prediction show, Surlana was right on the mark when, with the Oculus Rift and virtual reality. And even going back, it's always been, as kids, we've looked forward to the future and seeing certain things, and like we can take Star Trek, for example, like when they came out with phones that were flipped, or even floppy disk, when they were using on the original series.
automatic sliding doors. Or if you go to next gen, you had the pads, which now iPads. So it's just a matter of time. Because I feel like as long as there's that Trek element and there's a kid that's out there that's buried into the sci-fi thing, there's going to be something. I'm just waiting for the 7 chevron to lock so that I can make it to the next world. But guys, Stargate reference, yeah. So as I always tell any guest that comes on our show, plug. Let us know where we can reach you, where we can find you. Talk about the meetups, where that's all about, and just take it away.
Well, we've got 3 different meetups that we run each month. If you go to meetup.com and search for Houston VR, we've got our main meetup, which is the 3rd Thursday of each month at TXRX Labs. It's kind of just east of downtown in Houston. That's 7:30 in the evening. We usually have a speaker that comes out. This next month we've got Gunfire Games out of Austin. They did Chronos. They did Dead and Buried. They've got an upcoming game called From Other Stars. Yes. They'll be demoing a beta of that and talking about the development. We usually have like 6 or 7 demo stations for people to try things out. People network, talk, learn. We talk about the latest news and about the technology behind things when people are interested. Josh runs the developer-focused meetup. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we get developers together, content creators, people that are interested in making the next big idea in the space, and kind of get them in the room together and also in the room with other business people to try to help them bridge that gap, as well as getting other developers that are already successful to kind of do like a post-mortem, talk about where they went and the hurdles they had to get over and the lessons that they learned, and trying to teach the next generation of creators. Because I say all the time, the next biggest idea that's going to change the game hasn't even been thought of yet. So you just got to get out there, talk to people, communicate, connect, and just check out HoustonVR.com, find out all our information there. We'll have all of our meetup information. You can come. It's free to the public. We're absolutely just a enthusiast-run enterprise that we just love being evangelists and getting people getting heads in headsets.
Well, we love you guys, and we wanted you to keep on proclaiming the message. So if anything comes up that you want to just tell the universe, get in touch with us, and we'll make sure it gets on our broadcast. So thanks for being a part of our universe today.
All right, and that was a pretty exciting interview with those guys. And what do you think, Surlana?
It's always fun because we talked to Josh earlier this year when he was at Comic Palooza with the VR, and that's the first time you and I'd ever experienced VR for ourselves. Mm-hmm. You played that game, and I played. It was kind of like Photoshop in space, in 3D. So
I had seen the the game that you had played before online.
I forget what it's called.
But yeah, for me it was like the experience. It was really tough because we're there for a reason, and it was like the little kid that like doesn't want to leave kind of thing. That's my
I
inner,
could see that in you.
My inner kid was struggling, and the adult in me had to say, no, we've got a job to do. Let's do it. And, so I imagine at some point, I'll break down and get some kind of VR equipment, because, we haven't bought a system in quite some time, since we went full steam and no pun intended ahead with Steam games, Valve, and we've enjoyed it immensely. So but yeah, that game was pretty exciting, and to be able to interact. And if you want to see me play some VR game, the VR game that I'm talking about, we do have a video on our.
It's in the playlist.
It's on our YouTube channel. So go up there to YouTube and look for Spaceboy Universe, and in there you'll see the package of Maker Faire videos that we did, and you'll get to see all that. So right now we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll have my interview with Chris Harris of DaVinci. Makerspace, and so don't touch that dial.
listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
Okay. We're back, and with me is Chris Harris. How are you, Chris?
I'm good. Having a great show. How about yourself?
I am doing spamtastic. And, it's been since, I guess, Comic Palooza that we actually last talked.
That's right.
I guess what we need to do is get one. Why don't you remind your audience? Remind your audience. Yeah, remind our audience. What you're about, what you have, and then we'll kind of just go off on a tangent from there.
Okay. So again, DaVinci Maker Labs. I'm Chris Harris. I'm the president of DaVinci Maker Labs. We're a non-profit makerspace located in Alvin, Texas. We have an awesome suite of tools. We have a great facility. We have tools ranging from CNC machining to welding to arts and crafts to embroidery to electronics, you name it, we got it. So I encourage you to come down, take a tour, or hit the website, check out the classes. It's a membership-based facility. However, membership is not required to take classes. So come down, check it out, and we'll get you making something.
Yeah, cool. I know that when we did the Comic Palooza, what was great about your group is that you were kind of like made the designated person to go ahead and fix and repair costumes.
That's right. And we're gonna double up on that this year too. We've got some crazy ideas for this upcoming, the next Comic Palooza. And if we even do half of our crazy ideas, it'll be an awesome show. So
I think I even asked you. You probably had some wardrobe malfunctions. You probably could have bleached your eyes out from them. I imagine, huh?
Yes, absolutely. There were several of those. Luckily, I had plenty of people, running for me and doing things for me to take care of some of the ones that were a little rough. But we noticed that. A local repair. So we had a repair station set up, in the hall. But I also noticed people were basically breaking down, getting ready to walk on the stage and things like that. So I ended up loading up tools and running around the whole facility fixing people's costumes like ad hoc. It was awesome. So we're going to build on that, and hopefully we can make a. We want to make a skit out of it. Is what we want to do. We want to get the crowd engaged. And really our mission is to show that, all these folks, here at this facility, at the Maker Fair and at Comic Palooza, these are all makers, and people come to the Maker Fair kind of realize that because they're going to a Maker Fair. Comic Palooza, we're helping to make that connection between all these people making these just fabulous costumes, right? I mean, it takes skill to do some of this. And help them realize that, hey, you're part of a maker community, and there's you have a support community. Right. You have an entire community that wants to help you build these things.
And I think, is that a challenge to get that word out to let them know?
Yeah, it's absolutely a challenge. I mean, in our facility down in Alvin, people walk through the door and they kind of crack open the door and look in and sneak in, and you got to grab them and drag them in. Come on, come in. They're not used to that. That welcoming, inviting, kind of environment.
Because they've been doing it solo.
Yeah. And even the people that aren't making, they'll stick their head in and you drag them in and, well, what is this? And you say, it's a makerspace. And, well, what's a makerspace? 90% of the people have no idea what a makerspace is. Mm-hmm. So one of our biggest goals, and I keep telling everybody else, and Innovation Spark tells everybody else, and that's, the point of all this is, here's what a makerspace is. Here's what makers are, who they are. Mm-hmm. Here's what they do, and it's a worldwide effort, push, collaboration to build stuff.
Right.
So getting that definition out and getting people to realize that you're already part of it. You just don't realize there's a huge support network for you.
And I can only imagine that with these people with the costumes that have been doing solo stuff, that when they come in and they find different techniques to improve their techniques, like make something lighter, using a kind of a foam layer versus something a little bit heavier.
Yeah.
So it just goes a long way to benefit them in their costume making and.
Oh yeah, when you show someone, they come in, I made this cool costume, and they're made out of this and that, and they sat at home for 2 months cutting out EVA foam they got from Home Depot with scissors. You're like, come on down and did you know you can get a PEP file for that, and we can put it on the laser cutter and blow through all of that in like 2 minutes. All your little intricate cuts are perfect. We can do 3D molding on our our 3-axis mill and so forth. It just blows them away because they're not used to that tool set.
Right.
It's the tool set that gets them over that that hump and makes them realize that, wow, I can, and then their imaginations just go crazy. It's like, well, I can add infinite detail to this.
Right, exactly. It gets that much better.
That's right.
So so the Comic Palooza thing is cool. So tell us a little bit about the other things that I've seen in your area. I've seen some rockets. I've seen some
you could say we're into rockets.
Arcade stuff thing going over there.
Right.
And so just start a point and then let's talk about that.
Okay. So those are 2 points with a lot to talk about. So the arcade thing, that's a RetroPie, and if you talk to a Raspberry Pi person, like, oh yeah, I know what that is. So it's the old school ROMs for the old arcade games, all loaded onto memory with an emulator that'll play them on a Raspberry Pi. Awesome platform. It's fun to play the games and everything. I'm not really into the game playing side of it. I'm into the instructional side for programming, loading the machine, and building. Right. So I'm on that side of it, and it's a good lever arm to get kids engaged in building microcomputer projects.
Right.
And the Raspberry Pi is just a wonderful platform. We've standardized on that platform, and it's just I can't say anything bad about it. It's just awesome. It's they hit the right price point. The complexity is just right. It's not too crazy, and not too easy, and it's very powerful. So the Raspberry Pi and the RetroPie thing is a great lever arm for us for teaching and reaching our mission. Now the rockets are a little deeper entrenched with us. So I did my time at JSC. I supported return to flight, and that was kind of my professional side and so forth. And a couple of my other directors involved in Da Vinci are amateur rocketry guys just like me, and we kind of take it to another level. There's amateur rocketry when you usually talk to someone, it's like, oh, cool little Estes model rockets. Right. Well, what a lot of people don't realize, and what a lot of kids don't realize, is there's a big kid version to rocketry. So there's high power rocketry.
Right.
And it gets insane.
I've seen some of the rockets over there.
Those are actually small compared to some of the things.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, there's amateur rockets going to 150, 200,000 feet.
Now, my concern is, do you need to get some kind of approval once you're getting to a point?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you excuse me. So you always have that approval, or we always have that approval. We fly in a club or a group, and we take care of the FAA waivers involved and things like that. So yeah, I mean these things are flying fast. They're flying supersonic.
Because you can't launch these willy nilly.
No. Well, and to get to the point, you saw some big rockets in our booth. That's not something you go to Hobby Lobby and buy.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's something you have to fabricate.
You have to fabricate, and you can't get the motors unless you're certified. So there's a certification process that goes with that. And there's 3 levels of certification. And they're not, the first one is, okay to get. The other 2 are kind of hard to get, which is good.
Right.
But once you're certified, man, it's rock and roll time. You can fly some big stuff. In fact, we have a program based off of that. We have a CANSAT program. And what it is a program where we take little payloads that students make up, and we fly them to anywhere between 10,000 and 150,000 feet, depending on what the payload is. And it ranges, it's K through 12.
Wow.
So, we have a program where little kids can build a little package with a little egg, and they can try to pad it, and we see if it goes to scrambled eggs at 10,000 feet or not, right? And then we have on the other end of that spectrum, a high school program where they build little mimicked satellites with generally using a Raspberry Pi or some kind of microcomputer, and we put it in there and we eject it at 100,000 feet and see if it tracks and survives, and they get the data back, and so they end up owning that project and that data, and see something big that comes of it, and they get attached to it and excited, and hopefully that spurs them into some kind of STEM career. Right?
All I know is that as a kid back in the late 70s, early 80s, that would have been so cool to be a part of.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever I see projects like that, it's like it really blows my mind that the youth that are involved are tapped into it. One, the youth in general, but two, the new generation of kids they're just so tech savvy,
right?
And because I remember a time when you had to sit in front of a TV, there was only 3 channels on, and you had to be there. Versus now, it's like a la carte kind of thing, using as a comparison.
Right.
I mean, kids are just brilliant these days.
Yeah, and there's and to that point, it's important to realize what's making that possible, right? So there's a couple different components making that possible. One is price points. Price points on hardware have dropped dramatically. We have access to additive manufacturing. Everybody in their kid has a 3D printer. Right. So that was not like that just a couple of years ago. Right. So that's going exponential. Now we have things like the Raspberry Pi, right? That's a very capable microprocessor system with I/O built on. 5 years ago, that was $10,000, man.
Right, exactly.
So all these doors are opening, and the maker community is figuring out not only how to build these things at lower price points, but they're also figuring out how to integrate them together, how to build systems out of these other components that have lower price points.
Right.
And that's where you're seeing all these other things flourish. And that's it. That's what's giving us the ability to do this. And that's on the the amateur side. Obviously, the professional side has its own ball of wax and so forth. But anyways, it's important to realize that the maker community is doing a lot more for the world than they think they are.
Sure.
They're literally creating opportunities that wouldn't otherwise exist because someone else didn't see, okay, there's no profit in it, we're not going to play with that. Maker community doesn't care if there's profit in it.
Right.
They don't care.
That's the lovely point about that. It's to develop minds to create.
That's right.
And what's exciting is that I see on Facebook there's this one video, I can't remember specifically, but I do remember seeing how, hey, come bring your kids to coding. Basic, using Pi and build your own little computer.
That's right.
And it's amazing the technology, because, like you said, it was expensive a few years back, but now, and I keep saying this too in some of our broadcasts, that as time has marched on, you see price points come down to where it's very affordable to create these projects. Now, speaking of projects, you've mentioned, launching a Raspberry Pi into the stratosphere and using it for retro gaming. What are some of the other projects that you've seen Pi's used for in out there?
Oh, wow. It's easier to make a list of what I haven't seen it used for.
Well, what is something maybe you haven't seen that you'd probably think that...
I haven't seen it used to, make Dippin' Dots. I don't know, I'm looking at the Dippin' Dots.
Dippin' Dots? Yeah.
I'm grasping at straws here, because and the reason why I say that is I've seen it on everything. It's either been a Raspberry Pi or an Arduino or some form of it, right? Some little microprocessor system that they've done. It's just everything from flashy lights, we call it flash and trash kind of things, right, from a production standpoint, or all the way to controlling, complex robotic systems. I mean, it's across the board, So in fact, we got a couple of classes coming up, right? One of them is extreme Christmas lights, right? So extreme Christmas lights with Raspberry Pis is totally awesome. Using the addressable full color LEDs and all that stuff. And then from that, we were thinking, well, what's another cool class we can do? And Raspberry, came out with the new, the Zero, the little one.
Right.
We're like, well, it's really small, really lightweight. We got the lights. What else can we do? Hey, pimp my ugly sweater class, right? So like I said, it's just, they're being used for everything. It's there's no limitation, man. I mean, with a price point that low, I mean, use it for everything.
Right, exactly. Yeah, wire your house, different things.
There's people doing
everything.
Full automation systems with Raspberry Pi. So
the tech, when you look at the future, it looks pretty bright with the young adults getting involved, which is always great, and it warms my heart to see that. And then plus the technology, it's going to be a situation where it's just something off the table, and I'm reading my paper or whatever, and it's just what I'm saying. I guess that what I'm getting at is how easy it will be to get your hands on technology, and versus big corporations, and selling things for such an exorbitant amount of prices.
Right.
And then plus when you also bring it back to the openness, it kind of reminds me of, Linux. Being open source code, and that's been wonderful. Where this technology is open source, and it gives people to think outside the box. And so
absolutely.
Now, with that said, if people wanted to reach out to you, find you on the old interwebs, what's the best way to follow you and keep in touch with you?
The absolute best way to track us down is DaVinciMakerLabs.com. That's it. Go to the website. You'll find our classes. You'll find information. You'll find the membership stuff. You'll find the donation link, right? We're going to mention that one. Definitely.
Oh yes, definitely.
And shoot us an email if you don't see what you're looking for. If you don't see the class you're looking for at the time you're looking for, or what, send us an email. We're here to help, man. And generally there's someone else looking for the same class at the same time, or So my whole point is reach out. I don't care how you do it. You can call, you can send an email, you can. Talk to us on Facebook, send smoke signals. I don't care.
Right.
Just reach out. Come see us.
So you heard that, cosplayers, you should listen to this guy and get involved, and you broaden your horizons with your costume design. So definitely go check out Da Vinci. So, Chris, thanks for being a part of the universe.
Thank you.
Yes.
Always appreciate it.
We always look forward to talking to you.
Absolutely.
Another fabulous interview, Surlana, and a pleasure talking to Chris. Like I said, we got to meet him at Comic Palooza this last year, and that was, fun. We were right next door to him.
They were there repairing
costumes.
The costume fails. Like if you're at the convention and your costume falls apart, you can go over there and get free help. And I talked to him briefly last year when it was all winding down on the last day. I said, boy, I bet you've seen some things. He's like, yeah, I have.
So he was a good sport, and it was, like I said, it was good to see lots of people that we had met at the the Maker Faire and from last year, but Comic Palooza from last year. Now, Comic Palooza, this is a good point to segue into this, because we had a really good time at Comic Palooza, and we kind of learned a little bit from Mini Maker Faire, which is now Maker Faire, but Mini Maker Faire at the time it kind of gave us an idea of, okay, we're going to get our own booth, because the previous year's Comic Palooza, we did not do the booth. We weren't a part of Maker Faire, and we were just kind of like...
Well, we didn't know Maker Faire existed.
We did a one-day thing, and we did press, and...
that was 2015.
Yeah. Yes, 2015. I'm trying to remember. Okay, yeah, the previous year, 2015. So that was our first year. The second year, we got invited by David
Brunet.
Thank you. It's getting late. I'm getting a little discombobulated. Maybe I'll have some of your tasty dessert later here that you've created.
And tasty dessert.
So, we had a good time at Comic Palooza 2017.
This year.
Or this year.
Earlier this year, May.
Yes, exactly.
I keep thinking the year's done.
This year is
it's
going
almost
by.
done.
Yeah, it's going by quickly. And that's why we have big plans for 2018's Comic Palooza. We learned a lot of things from this year's Maker Faire and this year's Comic Palooza that, we've got a vision and to promote the universe.
Need to sparkle.
Yeah, we're going to sparkle, jazz hands. And so, we already have one person who has said that she'll be there for all 3 days, and it's going to be Memorial Weekend.
Making an assumption.
No,
that we will be there.
Oh well, we're going to be there one way or another.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. I mean, I feel that positive about it. We will be there. So we got a lot of things planned out, and we're looking forward to that. And we do have. It just so happens that Comic Palooza had a booth at Maker Faire this year, and I think they had one last year. Yeah, they did. And so
because they have a reciprocal relationship.
Right, exactly. So we do have a short interview with them, and when we come back after that interview, we'll talk a little bit more about Comic Palooza and what's possibly in store, and then of course to finish off this whole Maker Faire thing from I guess 11 o'clock to about the bottom of the hour. Next hour, We'll final thoughts, and then Surlana has a few things that she has up her sleeve that she wants to talk about and to spook you.
Spooky things.
And we'll go from there. So Surlana, can you roll that footage?
It's going to be when this year?
May 27th through 29th is going to be right here at the George R. Brown Memorial Day weekend. All 1 million square feet of the building will be occupied by a lot of fun celebrities, panels, Q&As, kid stuff. There's going to makerspace. We're going to have something for everybody.
Okay. And now, any kind of interesting new items that might be coming down the pipe this year?
Like
certain special guests you might.
We can't say anything yet.
So you can't give the first one's free, but after that I have to charge you?
Not yet.
You'll know who they are.
You'll know soon, yeah.
So, let's put it to some of our layman people that are out there in the audience. Why come to Comic Palooza?
Comic Palooza is a lot of fun. There's, like I said, there's something for everybody, from young kids to older adults. If you're into comic books and pop culture and just like we have a whole makerspace area there, just like this convention right now. There's just something for everybody. If you like meeting celebrities, we always have a great lineup of celebrities. We had Chuck Norris this past year. I mean, come on, Chuck Norris. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, you can't beat Chuck Norris.
Apparently, no, you cannot beat Chuck Norris.
We're the coolest convention in town now because Chuck Norris came to our convention.
That's right.
By proxy, we're the coolest now.
So you've had Chuck Norris. Who are some of the wonderful people that you've had that have come into Comic Palooza in the past?
Oh, I mean, we've had great celebrity lineup. We've had people from the Avengers like Anthony Mackie, Jeremy Renner. We had in 2016, we had an Aliens reading. So everybody from Sigourney Weaver was here, Paul Reiser, Bill Paxton was one of his last convention appearances before he passed away, sadly. We've had, cast members from Gotham and just so many great, a lot of Star Trek people, yeah. We've had George Takei and I'm not a Star Trek guy, but
John Barrowman.
John Barrowman,
and
yeah.
of course our always lovely Stan Lee cameos that we have.
Yeah. Zip it, Stan Lee.
No, never zip it, Stan Lee. Stan Lee's great. He's one of our favorite guests.
And
Ming Chen from Comic Book Men, AMC. Yeah, great guest. He's
friend of the street team.
Yeah.
5 a.m. broadcast morning buddy
right.
every year.
So yeah, it's been some great people. Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Yeah,
it's our 10-year anniversary coming up in 2018. So there's a lot of cool things that we're preparing for, and stay tuned to our social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter and Instagram. Comic Palooza on Twitter, and the Houston Comic Palooza on Facebook and Instagram. Follow us there. All of our big announcements will be there. Any kind of information about the show, when tickets go on sale, all that good information will be on our social media right there. You can sign up, go to comicpalooza.com, sign up for our email newsletter, and be one of the first to know about anything like that. So special guests, when tickets go on sale, all that good stuff.
Well, I know. I was going to say, as social media with us, with our footprint, we watch y'all pretty heavily, and so we know that your social media footprint is out there as well. So as we get closer to the event, I can only tell you, Spaceboy Universe will be praising the virtues of getting to Comic Palooza because, we're big fans of the Maker Faire, but we're also a big fan of Comic Palooza because we get to strut our stuff.
Oh, very cool. You guys have a booth there.
Yeah, in fact, our booth is right over there. Yeah, and of course it looks empty and pitiful right now because we're over here doing interviews, doing what we're supposed to be doing. But this past Comic Palooza was great. We got to go to, and it was a lot of fun. Usually we tag team with the Maker Faire group people, and we also usually score some press passes with Comic Palooza to kind of bridge the gap between both events. And it's always fun to. I wear a spacesuit, for Comic Palooza. Yeah, so I'll dust off the old spacesuit and changeable heads where I did the monkey.
From there too, right?
Yeah, we do some live stuff live, and then as we're doing it, we're doing the social media, putting pictures.
You off camera then about a couple things before you.
Sure. So on that magical note, before I leave, introduce yourselves.
My name is Kerry Gordon. I am the digital media manager for Comic Palooza.
My name is Chris Myers. I'm the street team coordinator and children's track coordinator for Comic Palooza.
And there,
children's.
So there you go, Comic Palooza. make sure you get it there because Spaceboy Universe will be there as well. So we'll talk to y'all then.
So there you go, Comic Palooza. It's very exciting. If you've never been to Comic Palooza, you're sorely missing out because of all the interesting people you'll see there in costume. Wouldn't you agree to that, Surlana?
Absolutely. There's plenty to gawk at.
Mm-hmm. I'm Mary Poppins.
And I mean, they take halls A through E, that's the exhibit floor. There's 3 levels to the George R. Brown. They also take up all levels on the 2nd floor and the 3rd floor. And 2 of those have like more exhibit space, but there's just a labyrinth of like classrooms and demonstration areas. And it's the entire freaking convention center.
Yeah, so if you need an exercise workout, you can definitely get it there. You know, and that's one thing that I remember from the first one to the one that we recently did, where was, you know, before we walked around, we didn't have a location. Well, the location we had was the media room, and that was practically on the other side of the building. And so to get down to where all the cool things were and experience everything, you know, we were going back and forth, you know, taking some breaks. And I was in the spacesuit. But of course, you know, being located on the floor in the middle of everything.
You get a home base.
Yeah, so you had a home base to like go back and forth, and it wasn't a lot of walking. We still did a lot of walking. And
we did a lot of walking in one little hall this last weekend for 2 days. For Maker Faire in one area, we walked the equivalent of 5 miles.
Yeah, so I can only imagine what it would be like for Comic Palooza.
Oh, I'm going to have my pedometer app up and running, let me tell you.
So at the end of the day, you know, what we want to convey about Comic Palooza is that, you know, if you can make it to Houston, you know, if it, you know, we're looking for volunteers, you know, the Space Cadets, we're reaching out to y'all. If you can come to Houston, you want to be a volunteer, you know, we'd love to sign you up. Even if you don't volunteer and you're just going to be in the Houston area, you know, this would be a chance to meet the wonderful dynamic duo of Spaceboy Universe, and that's myself and Surlana.
Well, he's dynamic.
And, you know, so we would love to see you, Space Cadets. So if you can drop to Houston, you know, that would be awesome, you know, and who knows, we might pull you on the mic and talk to you and get an interview with you because we love to promote our Space Cadets. You know, y'all are a great bunch of people, and we love you to death, as you know. So, you know, if you can get to here Memorial Weekend, I don't know why you're laughing, but I guess you'll tell me later.
Yeah, I'll tell you later.
Yeah, so let's take this top of the hour break, and when we come back, we'll have final thoughts of the Maker Faire, and then, of course, then Surlana will take over and tell you some spooky tales, so don't go anywhere.
Well, Surlana, it looks like we've reached the conclusion of mini. Well, it's not mini. I keep on saying that mistake, but it's actually Maker Faire.
It's a full-blown Maker Faire.
You know, you keep correcting me on that. I don't care.
Well, no, it's important.
It is important. That's what I'm saying. Keep correcting me. I don't have a problem with you correcting me.
For once.
Well, for once, yes, exactly. So, Maker Faire. Here it is, Sunday. We're getting ready to wrap up, and so let's go back over some of the things that we've encountered over the weekend.
Well, first and foremost, had a blast.
Mm-hmm.
Made some new friends, saw some new old friends
yeah.
We made some new friends at Comic Palooza earlier this year, and they're here, and we'll be seeing them again.
Yeah, so, we're looking forward to that, and then we need to, we saw our good friend Josh, who initially invited us out towards Webster, but we had a little car trouble. Oh, Jared, that's right.
Williams. Sorry.
Why am I saying Josh?
Because there's 3 people here with J names.
Oh, my God. Please, we have a list of Daves, a list of Steves. Now we're having a list of J's and people's names. But anyway, so, we need to go out and see him because we had some car trouble. We were initially going to see him, but we are definitely going to go see him. He's a character.
He's a long way from where we live now.
Exactly. So, these things have to be planned out. Actually, a lot of the people that we came across were like, come see us, and a lot of it's during the week, which is
one night only during the week. Like, oh, boy.
It's like Tuesday is the night. Well, that's when we have Taco Tuesday. How can we escape that? Surlana loves Taco Tuesday, so it's hard to escape that.
We're going to have to schedule it carefully. Excuse me. End of the day coughs. We're just going to have to work things out now. We've made a lot of good. We've got a lot of good ideas. We got some people we want to do some on the spot location broadcasts coming up. We would like to do more. We've got some people we'd love to invite on the show that we want to talk about what they do with makers, but then people have some fascinating backstories.
Oh yes, and I'm looking forward to us trying to get in touch with those individuals and because they came up to us and we were thinking talking about like VR, right? Just to throw this one out there, and come to find out that everybody has a backstory, and the backstory before this person got into doing the VR stuff is just totally fascinating. It's kind of like when you and I have a conversation and I tell you something, and you said, "Well, where did this come from? You never told me that." And it was,
we won't get into that.
Yeah, we won't get into that because it's a sore spot with Surlana. So, but one day she'll find out I work for the CIA.
It's been really fun and interesting. And when I learn about what these people are doing in the community, what they create, how they inspire other people, it gets me really hyperactive and I get ramped up. And my curiosity is sparked. And I wish I could do. God, I wish I was interesting.
What? Everybody that listens to Spaceboy Universe say,
if I didn't know you,
Surlana and Spaceboy, because
if I didn't know you, I would not be interesting. Probably people think I'm a psychopath.
Wait, raising cats and playing piano?
I only have one cat.
And
one cat at a time.
You leave your back door open, and tons of them would come.
No, but anyway, so this has been. I've had even more fun than last year. It's been almost as fun as Comic Palooza, and that was just because it was a huge environment and there was a lot of traffic. But we've learned a lot. In fact, I'm sitting in front of a page of notes. I'm like, here's what we need to do for our setup, for our booth. Here's the things we need to get.
Yeah, because you bring up our next event will be Comic Palooza, Memorial Day weekend. And so we're looking forward to that 3-day weekend of 3 days versus the 2 days. And
Comic Palooza loves Makerspace.
Oh, they do. And
they said it was the highest customer satisfaction for the attendees of Comic Palooza, and that's a feather in David Brunet's cap, the coordinator of Maker Faire.
Indeed. And so
rightfully so.
And we can, be along with that and say, hey, we made part of that happen too as well. We were pretty powerful during that Comic Palooza, and I.
You were a rock star.
Well,
giveaways.
We had lots of good giveaways, and we had good friends come out. Space cadets show up to help out the Spaceboy Universe and take pictures.
Already starting to recruit now.
Yeah, so don't be surprised in the days to come and the weeks to come that if you start to see things on the our Twitter wall and Facebook wall. Hey, if you're interested in coming to Comic Palooza, hanging out with Spaceboy Universe, then we can get you connected if you want to be a volunteer with us.
Yeah, we got to put you to work. Sorry.
Yeah, we got to put you to work. But at the end of the day, it'll be fun and exciting, and the things that you'll get to experience at Comic Palooza will be things you can tell your kids, your grandkids, whatever. And so, they'll have fun, right?
Oh, definitely. Even someone like me who's not into comic books, not really into superhero movies. I'm into Star Trek, but I wouldn't go to a convention just for that.
Mm-hmm.
Even I had fun, and I am like the biggest introvert, social anxiety, terrified of crowds. I had a blast. Here comes K9 right now from Doctor Who. He's playing Who Let the Dogs Out.
If you can't hear that over the thing right now.
Hopefully not copyright strikes.
Yeah, hopefully we don't get hit for that,
But we've talked to that guy who built him.
Yeah, we took a few. I took a few pictures.
He's done some upgrades.
Yeah, some upgrades, and he's really cool. If you've seen, not the new updated version of K9, but the classic Doctor Who was Sarah Jane.
Yeah, this is classic K9, isn't it?
Yeah, classic
And he
K9.
sounds just like somebody that did some voices on the original Danger Mouse.
Yeah. So, you have things like that while we were here. Maker Barn was another interesting one we got to interview.
To meet them.
Let's see, I'm trying to think. We met this wonderful lady called Grace who creates these violins with the 3D printing, and then, of course, regular violins where she gutted it out and put a pie in it and to do the lighting on the fretboard. Which
I've got video of that, but the audio has been drowned out by the live band that was here yesterday. But I'm going to sit down with Spaceboy and we're going to review the footage, and I will try to subtitle it.
Yeah.
Or summarize what's going on.
Exactly, and we got some other footage of her where she was doing a presentation on stage. So you'll get to see who she is, and checking our YouTube video channel and going from there.
Give me a day to recover, and I'll start editing. Get those uploaded.
Before it's all said and done, Surlana's going to probably hate me within a week or so because of hey, did you get this done? Hey, did you get this done?
No, that's okay. I don't want to lapse it like I did last time, but I just need for you to cut my feet off, and I'll be fine.
This is a phrase she says quite often after.
Just cut my legs off. I'm fine.
Did you check your pedometer thing and how far
Well,
did you
I
go?
was going to say, over yesterday and today, you and I have both walked a total of 5 miles. And I can I can feel it in every part of my body.
And I told Surlana, I asked her, I said, what is the furthest you've ever walked? And, of course...
Comic Palooza, probably.
Well, Comic Palooza, and, of course, that doesn't give me a number, but...
I didn't have the pedometer going.
My distance was 17 miles is the max. And now, what would you...
At one time.
At one time.
Okay.
I was very tired after that walk.
Well, don't ever do it again.
No, I probably won't. Not in
now.
This
So one
form.
thing we've seen all day today and yesterday here at Maker Faire is, and I don't know where they're getting them, is various people will come zipping by on these little electric scooters, miniature mopeds.
I believe it's a vendor behind us that has this. These devices.
There's this one where you got a space to put one foot on each thing, and you zip back and forth.
And,
Yeah.
Of course, this is live, so, everybody's
no problem.
still coming up and getting a flyer. Anybody to add to the, space crew, is always
We just saw a future explorer.
Yeah, a little girl wearing a
She's
NASA
wearing
spacesuit.
a NASA orange flight jumpsuit. I guess the mother or the parent said that was her Halloween costume, but she came flying across the convention floor after her, yelling her name, because this little girl's like, just like, I'm going for it. I don't care.
Right. and that's one thing about the Maker Faire is it's very family friendly, so it's not like you have to worry about.
They're pretty safe here.
You're pretty safe here. It's a pretty nice crew. Now, we got to talk to David a little bit, and
the coordinator,
and he mentioned there's a good possibility that next year's Maker Faire might double in size.
But that will largely depend on you out there coming and attending and getting involved.
And I was going to bring up, not to cut you off there, Surlana,
no problem.
is that, what would be great, since we're, broadcasters, is that if we could get people to commit in our community that does, podcasting or digital broadcasting to come to the event and as a team and show the makers that hey, this is what we do. You can promote.
They could do it too if they wanted.
It's not going to be like exclusive to one type of talk style. You come, you tell people how you got together, how you did your thing. So it sounds like a great opportunity for those who listen to Spaceboy Universe, who don't listen to Spaceboy Universe, but should listen to Spaceboy Universe, and I'll find you because I'm set with a set of skills, and I will find you. So anyway, on that, Liam Nielsen, I'm encouraging those.
That's what I was trying to say is you should, if you're in the Houston area or close to the Houston area, it's worth driving in. You can bring your kids, young kids. You can walk in, and unless there's a sign that says "Don't touch it," because there's a few displays, but for the most part,
like the Lego stuff,
the Lego Texas brick, Lego, they have those displays. They don't want you touching that. But there goes another one. Everything else is hands-on. Come in, you can get dirty, you get covered in glitter or something.
In all fairness of the Lego set, they had places where you could build Lego
stuff.
They
did have some interactive things.
But, like some of the things that we
they
took
had
pictures
elaborate
of,
displays.
The displays, those guys take a long time to build.
But they were awesome.
They were.
You need to come see it. I just saw the most elaborate setup I've ever seen in my life.
Are you talking about the jungle one?
The pagoda, the Chinese pagoda one? With the little waterfalls everywhere. So intricate and detailed. You had to get way in to see the tiny little snakes and
There was a couple of chickens in there too.
Chickens and alligators
scorpions. It was like one of those things when I don't want to compare it to like Where's Waldo, but think of it as Where's Waldo with different types of Waldos and look at it.
You stare at it for a while.
As you kind of go down into the rabbit hole, so to speak, there are many little tiny things that tinier than my pinky on my finger's nail, smaller than that were in this the display, and it was really quite cool. I know Surlana took a little bit of video. I took a few pictures, and we'll get that up on our various media platforms, so you can take a look at it too. But
at the end of the day, I'm interrupting the interview. The final thoughts is that there were lots of cool stuff there. And and there's always next year for Maker Faire. And if you have an opportunity to tune in to get a chance to, if a Maker Faire comes to your neck of the woods, you should definitely go check it out. It's always good, clean, family fun, and you'll learn some things by just going up to talk to a few people and see what they have to offer. And do you want to say anything to wrap this up, Surlana?
I'm confused.
That's all right. Be confused.
What did you? Cut it off, or
I cut it off.
I didn't realize what was going on. I'm sorry.
So you have a few things you want to do tonight before we wrap it up here in about a little under 45 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And so you want to give your final thoughts
on Maker Faire?
Yes.
Fun. We learn more about things, people, and the Maker Faire itself. And we also learn more about what we need to do. And once again, we need at least one unpaid intern, somebody to sit at the booth and talk to people about us. Mm-hmm. And just watch the equipment.
Yeah, they allow us to do everything. We
somebody that's willing to be bored and sit there.
Surlana keeps playing this down to you'll be bored. Not really. It's really an interesting thing to do and to have fun and make it your own. So this concludes Maker Faire for this year, and I'm going to hand the mic over.
Look forward to next time.
Yeah, I'm going to hand the mic over to Surlana. She's got a few things that she wants to present to you. And so let's give her a listen.
Daddy, I had a bad dream. You blink your eyes and pull up on your elbows. Your clock glows red in the darkness. It's 3:23 a.m. Do you want to climb into bed and tell me about it? No, Daddy. The oddness of the situation wakes you up more fully. You can barely make out your daughter's pale form in the darkness of your room. Why not, sweetie? Because in my dream, when I told you about the dream, the thing wearing mommy's skin sat up. For a moment, you feel paralyzed. You can't take your eyes off your daughter. The covers behind you begin to shift. That's a creepypasta, by the way. That's an example. In case anybody had, been wondering, we kind of alluded to it before, but you can get on YouTube or just get on the internet. You can read them. For instance, I read that from creepypasta.org, or get on the YouTube and type in creepypasta, and there will be countless channels of people reading stories that have been submitted to them, and probably from this site too. So I was just going to look at the really, really, really short ones here and show you a couple of examples. Here's a very short one. I began tucking him into bed, and he tells me, "Daddy, check for monsters under my bed." I look underneath for his amusement, and I see him, another him, under the bed, staring back at me, quivering and whispering, "Daddy, there's someone on my bed." These are super, super quick ones. They have some that range into an hour long, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 5 minutes. So I want to do something a little spooky before, because we're here on the verge of Halloween. And I also wanted to tell you about something else that you can also listen to or read if you go to the Wikipedia, or if you just get on YouTube and type in SCP readings. So you're like, okay, what is SCP? Well, it started as a game. It's a video game. It's supposed to be a scary horror game. And so in the universe, the SCP Foundation is a secret organization entrusted by governments around the globe to contain and study anomalous individuals, entities, locations, objects, and phenomena that defy natural law. And these are all referred to as SCPs. And I think that stands for Secure, Contain, and Protect. Now, this is fictional. It's kind of like X-Files. Just think of it that way, where people read stories made up by random people about the different things that are either contained in a building or things that are being locked down and watched. But it's all fictional. But it's SCP Containment Breach is the name of the game. And you can go to a WikiNet for SCP readings, or get on YouTube and look up SCP readings, and people will read these things about the different creatures, phenomenon that are, being watched or cataloged, and they'll talk about, if something happens to some of the staff, they'll send, prisoners to go, run experiments on these things. And so, this could be a stairway that goes up to nowhere because you can't tell where it goes, because by the time you get to the top, you're dead. Things like that. Strange individuals. Read something about cute, cuddly eye creatures, just strange stuff. All weird things I listen to before I go to bed, because, my brain isn't insane enough on its own. But if you like that type of thing, you might enjoy having somebody read these to you. There's two major ones that I have listened to before, but between that and the creepypastas, they've been really interesting. So, just real quickly, I'll read you another one if you're interested here. Tonight's like every other night. You lay there, in the dark and silence, alone, with no company other than your own thoughts. You shift and roll throughout your bed, you and your thoughts. You ponder, you plan, you fantasize, anything to distract you from the ringing silence that surrounds you. You hear a creak, a common sound to hear on such a still night, but you still recoil when the sound hits your ears. You hear the sound almost every night, but the sheer unexpectedness sets off a trigger in your head as paranoia takes over. The thought that once illuminated your mind is now darkened. What was once pleasure and success has now turned to demons and killers. The silence that your mind has been distracting you from has now become the focus. You lay there, silent, listening for any obscure sound, hoping that the silence doesn't leave. Every little noise adds to your paranoia, and the silence lingers as you await the next unexpected occurrence. You're too afraid to open your eyes at the thought of seeing anything in your mind that your mind can conjure. You lay there alone in fear. The fear builds up in your mind as you try to find a quick escape from anything it creates. You revert to your childhood solution, hiding under the covers. You pull up the blanket over your head and lay in silence. You hear noises, but they don't seem as scary. You figure if they can't see you, you're safe. The heat builds up under your blanket, but you put up with it simply for the comfort it supplies. You begin to calm down and relax and revert to your usual logical self. It's just you and your thoughts again, alone, under your blanket. You think of how silly it was to get so scared and worked up over a silly little noise. Eyes closed, you lift the blanket off your face as the built-up heat is released. You breathe a sigh of relief and roll over, only to hear a deep, grating voice whisper, "Oh, there you are," as the sound of footsteps creeps towards your bed. Wasn't that fun?
So that's all the creepypastas you have?
Well, I have what the cat dragged in. It's another shortish one. That might work. What, we got 5 minutes?
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Do you want to hear another? Jake had no love for cats, especially the ones in his home. Of course, it wasn't explicitly his cat. It was his roommate's cat, a black and white stray that he'd adopted a number of years ago. But since his roommate was away for a few weeks, the cat was Jake's responsibility. Each day he fed her, changed her water, cleaned out her litter box, with far more frequency than his roommate ever did. Small additions to his daily routine that didn't actually require a lot of effort. No real effort came at night. The real effort came at night when the cat would get lonely. It happened almost like clockwork. Around 3 a.m., he'd hear her outside his bedroom door. Meow, meow, meow. This plaintive, mewling cry that would grow more insistent the longer she was ignored. Occasionally interrupted by the sound of her scratching, the sadly beseeching scritch, 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 scratch of her tiny claws scraping along the bottom edge of his door. Jake was allergic to cats and preferred to keep his bedroom door closed, but whenever her cries became unbearable to listen to, he'd open the door a crack, just enough to allow her to nose her way through. He'd see her eyes glow green in the darkness right before she'd leap up onto his bed and curl up beside him. The purring lump of teeth and claws and hair. He'd wake up sneezing or covered in hives, and no amount of over-the-counter antihistamine seemed to temper the aftermath, but it was often better than hearing her cry all night. And so it went like this, night after night, week after week, until one morning the cat simply vanished. Jake opened a can of cat food, assuming the sound would serve as her Pavlovian cue to creep out of hiding, but there was no response. Shrugging it off, he changed her water, cleaned out her litter, and headed off to work. When he returned that evening, there was still no sign of her. Her food and water and litter remained untouched. Slightly more alarmed, he poked around the small apartment. There weren't many places she could hide, and yet she still managed to find ways to disappear completely for stretches. There was no sign of her anywhere. What would he tell his roommate when he returned? That night was largely sleepless as he kept waiting to hear her plaintive cries and pleading scratching outside his bedroom door, but it was quiet all through the night. The next morning, they changed her food and water and went off to work. She had to come out eventually, he reasoned. At work, he searched the internet for advice on hiding cats. He learned that some cats hide when they're hurt or scared or dying. In a few forums, people half-jokingly posited that their cats could open portals to alternate dimensions. The larger takeaway seemed to be that this is just something that most cats do sometimes. They disappear and return when it's convenient for them. So he just tried to put it out of his mind. When he returned home that night, the cat's food bowl was empty. Her water dish was bone dry. He breathed a sigh of relief and looked around expectantly, but couldn't see her anywhere. He didn't bother poking around for her. He lost enough sleep over her. In just a few more days, she'd be his roommate's problem again. That night, around 3 a.m., he woke up to that familiar sound. The meow, meow, scritch, scritch, scratch. He tuned it out and allowed himself to drift off again. A small act of defiance, refusing to cater to the fickle whims of his roommate's cat for one measly night. Meow, scritch, scritch, scratch, meow, scratch, scratch, scratch. Tonight her mewling cries were almost like white noise, lulling him to sleep. He turned away from the door, found a cooler spot on his pillow and to lay his head. Bang, bang, bang. The door suddenly shuddered against the pounding force of whatever stood on the other side. Jake was no longer asleep. He sat up and stared at his bedroom door. For a while it remained silent, and he began to wonder if he just imagined... Bang, bang, bang. He approached the door and opened it. Just a crack. And retreated to his bed with grim anticipation. For a small eternity, nothing happened. Then the door creaked open. A pair of nocturnal eyes glowed through the darkness, much larger than the ones he was accustomed to seeing. The familiar purring sound was replaced with something that sounded more like growling. The creature stood up on scaly hind legs and looked down upon him. The cat had brought something back with it from whatever unknowable dimension it had visited. The creature leapt up onto his bed, curled up beside him, and a heartbeat before long, exotic teeth sank into his throat. Jake imagined it was from hell. And scene.
You're listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network and also on the PAUK radio network. We'll be right back after this.
All right, the Skype phone line is open, 713-701-5214. If you'd like to call in, talk about what we've talked about tonight, anything to do with Maker Faire, Comic Cons, scary stories, Halloween coming up, the fact that we're going to be married 12 years on Monday, anything that tickles your fancy. We've got, like 20 some odd minutes left?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I don't know what we've got coming up because I have something coming up for the show. Oh, here's Bev. Let's see. Are you there, Bev?
How do you know it was me?
Because I put your name on your phone number this time.
And plus, you're like the one caller that calls in each week.
Yeah, nobody else wants to call us.
Oh. I have a scary, I guess it's kind of scary thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is it named Bob?
Well, in our marriage. My grandpa Riker, my mom's father, he passed away when I was 16. And he was very, very close to all of his grandkids. And I was walking home from school one day, and I got to this corner, 4-way stop.
Really?
Oh, Robert. And then my grandpa Riker was on the other side, and he put his arm and hand up, like, stop. And it scared me, so I stood there for a second, and here, not 2 seconds later, a drunk driver went through the stop sign.
Oh, wow.
And if I'd have crossed, it would have hit me.
Well, thank goodness that the driver didn't hit you.
Yeah, thank goodness for my grandpa Riker.
Mm-hmm.
That's
wow.
I just wanted to tell you that.
That's pretty cool. In that.
Bob's got scary things.
What, me?
Yeah, when you lived in Minnesota.
Oh. I got a couple ones.
Well, tell us, Bob.
One time, we were sitting around doing our homework after school, and we just got done with a pretty good blizzard, and seen this car coming up the driveway. We had almost a quarter-mile driveway back to where we lived, and so we seen these headlights. First we noticed about halfway up the drive, and it looked like, an older type car. Heard him come up by the house, car doors open, shut. We had about 12 or 13 dogs, and they all went crazy. Ran to the back door. You heard the screen door open, and that was it. And the next day we went out, and you could see tire tracks in the snow starting about halfway up the drive and ending up at the house about the size of a Model A car. And no footprints, but you saw the car, tire tracks. So that was a pretty interesting one. Then I was in my late teens, early 20s, and at my mom's here in Ohio, and I was getting ready to go out and listen to music, and staying in the bedroom, and turned around and saw this little old lady. Oh gosh, she couldn't have been more than about 5'1", 5'2", an old house coat, quilted house coat, had her hair up in a bun. And I turned around and looked at her, and for some reason I turned away, and it hit me. It's like, who the heck was that? I turned around, she was gone. And there was nobody there. But this house, we had a lot of issues in this house. We replaced a wooden porch with a cement porch, and before that, you would hear like a dog with a chain on the front porch. You could hear the chain dragging across the porch. Even though we replaced it with a cement porch, you would still hear it for a couple years after that. Wow. Every once in a while, you hear a dog chain dragging across the porch.
So, do you have?
I've had.
I was going to say, do you have any like local legends that from your part of the country?
We got several around here. I was trying to remember them. We had one about one cemetery around here where supposedly seen a gal's head appear on the tombstone, but I never could find that when we were younger. But yeah, there's a couple others in this area, and I can't think of them right
Oh,
offhand.
about that one at the bridge and that woman?
Yeah, there's another one at the bridge, Screaming Bridge.
Screaming Mary, they called her?
No, I think that's what they called her, but it's not the same one as the legend, but I can't remember how it went. A lot of cobwebs ago.
Yeah, a whole lot of cobwebs ago.
But yeah, we got several around here. Of course, Southern Ohio, you got Mothman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Grassman.
Grassman? What's Grassman?
It's not that kind of grass.
Does he only appear at 420?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I think he'd be scared then. He might get smoked. But anyhow, we had, I guess, Fostoria made hunting for Bigfoot. Supposedly they've seen Bigfoot over there. It's a town about 10 miles away from me.
Us.
But again, yeah, I've heard stories about Bigfoots in this area, or animals in this area.
Well, Grassman is supposed to be like the equal to...
Yeah, it's another word for
Bigfoot.
It's like, what is the one in Florida and Kentucky and that?
The skunk ape?
Skunk ape.
Yeah. It's our version of it, I guess.
Well,
but it's in Southern Ohio.
Well, Surlana will tell you the one in here in Texas is called Spaceboy.
Is what?
It's called Spaceboy.
Oh.
Yeah, I ain't got to say what Bev calls me. It's not fit for the air.
Well, same with you that you call me.
Hey, I'm nice.
Well, hey, guys, we got another call coming in, but as always, we love it when both of y'all are on the phone, and I can't say enough to say how much we do love the heck out of you guys, so,
Oh, same here, guys.
Oh, same here.
And with it being Halloween, I had to pop my 2 cents in.
Oh, sure.
Well, we're glad you did,
That's
Bob.
about all he's worth. Oh.
I told you. See?
All right, guys, so we'll talk to you again next week.
All right, you guys have a good one.
We love you.
Yeah, ditto.
Bye-bye.
And do we have a caller on the phone?
Are you there, caller?
Hi,
Is this Miss Michelle?
this is Donna.
Oh, it's
Donna.
Donna.
Sorry.
Okay.
Couldn't hear you, Donna.
How are you tonight, Donna?
Oh, I'm doing good. I just thought I'd wish you a happy anniversary coming.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
If we make it another 2 days.
Yeah. But if any of us make it through the night. That story you told me made me cuss. Sorry.
The one about the cat?
The cat. You don't know what I go through with cats. So anyway, I have a little story for you. When I was growing up in Fresno, California, when I was a teenager, a bunch of us got in a car and we went out driving around to the different cemeteries. And there's one that's way off by this town that used to belong there. It's now at the bottom of the lake, Bryant. And so we went to this old abandoned cemetery, and you know how kids are, and it was probably my second joint I ever smoked. And so the guys go and they say, we're going to go to the cemetery and scare everybody. And I say, oh, you can't scare me. So we go out, and the old cemeteries have those high stones, the big tall ones. They look like little buildings and steeples and stuff. And then I was like, wait, what is that over there? And everybody said, oh, stop it. You're just fooling with us. there's nothing out here. And I said, no, look. And there was a little girl about 4 or 5 years old. And she was in a little white gown, and she had long black hair and the brightest blue eyes. And then suddenly she just started laughing. And every one of us ran back and got in the car and slammed the door. But we saw her. I mean, she was right there. And then she wasn't there when we got to the car.
That's crazy.
Another thing is in the Fresno area, when I was really young, they used to tell us the story about don't go out in the hills by yourself. Because there's this big, tall, hairy man. And then one day we went out and there was this big, tall water tower. I don't know if you know what water towers are.
Yes.
Yeah.
They used to put water up in them because they didn't have good pumps.
Mm-hmm.
So the water had come down. So we went out there and somebody had punched it. And I don't mean hit it with a stick or anything. You could see fist prints in that water tower.
Wow. I wonder what could have caused something like that.
I don't know, but it had to be tall because that water tower was about 20 feet off the ground.
Right.
That's crazy.
So those are my two little stories.
Wow. Well, thanks for sharing tonight, and it's a real big treat because Donna calling in. That's exciting because we don't get a chance to hear from you. I mean, we see you in the chat room, but to actually get a chance to talk to you. You know what I'm saying, Donna?
Yeah, I called him once before.
Yeah, but it's like a blue moon.
To come out. Yeah, not quite a blue moon, but I'm trying. My health is getting much better, so
well, that's
I'm trying
good.
to keep in there.
What I'm trying to say is that
I wish I could
we
come
love
and help you guys because I love doing stuff like that. I used to sit at different conventions and I would talk to everybody that came by.
Yep.
I was never bored, and I never was boring either.
No, well, you're still not boring, and that's why we enjoy having you a part of the show. And call in whenever you feel like it, and when you're feeling good, share the goodness. Yeah,
I have plenty of stories. So I will call in occasionally and tell you.
Well,
thanks for letting me run on and talk and everything, and you guys have a great time on your anniversary.
Thank you.
I know you'll make it.
Thank you, Donna. We appreciate that.
You're welcome. Love you guys.
Love you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, we can spend a few minutes talking about that, I suppose. But, excuse me, I feel like everybody in the chat knows about us.
So they think.
Not you and me, I mean. The origin story.
Oh? That I was bitten by a radioactive shrew and...
Y'all all know that, right? Y'all know that? Because we talked about it last year.
I always crack up when you say origin story because it reminds me of like we're superheroes of some kind. And I made the joke and I can't remember I was like, I was bitten by some radioactive dust mite and, and we became the dynamic duo of Spaceboy Universe.
Well, there's the Spaceboy Universe origin story, which we did on the SBU anniversary in September. Mm-hmm. This is our personal origin story, how we became a couple, so.
Well, since you didn't get a chance to talk much tonight, why don't you go ahead and tell the audience how we met?
It was a dare on my part. I was dared to go out on a date just to prove that I was over whatever I had just been through. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And I like most things in life, this was just to shut up Leanne. It's to get her off my back. And I have to tell her we're talking about her right now.
Was she in the chat room there?
No, she's in a different chat.
Oh, a different chat room.
But anyway, she said go out. So this is when Yahoo.com still had everything. Yahoo had personals. They had their own job thing. They had their own, movie listings. They had their own shopping. They had their own forums and groups. And then one by one, all of that just disappeared, so. But while they still had personals, this is before things like eHarmony hit real big.
Mm-hmm.
I joined that on a local level because I had just moved to Webster, Texas, which is just a few miles from Johnson Space Center, not too far. And I had done that a while. Oh wait, let's talk to Ty. Ty's calling. That's more interesting than us.
Okay, Ty, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hello, my friend from the Great White North. How are you this evening?
Oh, doing really well. I love the show. It was really interesting.
Oh, you're just biased.
Yeah.
Of course.
Why
would that be?
I've been thinking about you a lot, Ty, lately, and I know Surlana is going to raise an eyebrow here.
He doesn't know who I am.
I was thinking of both her name and her alias. But yeah,
so I'm drunk.
I'm like, Christmas is going to be here soon.
You're going to be in trouble.
I know I'm going to be in trouble with Ty, and I have ideas in my head.
He is thinking about it.
Yeah, so and just to remind our audience, Ty has given me the task or the challenge to come up with some Christmas music, and I kind of have an idea of a name. If I was to name an album, it would be called Ty's Family Christmas, and so that's kind of what I've got for a working title for an album so far.
Well, that sounds good, I guess, yeah.
So, so at least I've got you in mind, and I'm making progress to that. So, Christmas will be here soon enough, and I need to buckle down and focus. And, it's not like I'm not writing music, because I am writing just different things. And so, but yeah, you are still, front and present in my mind to get some Christmas music done.
Well, that sounds good. I mean, if it takes time, it takes time, right?
Yeah.
It takes till next Christmas? It takes till next Christmas?
I mean, technically, you didn't say which Christmas.
You didn't specify which year.
Exactly. So,
but at least I've got the name of the album for you.
Well, I like the name.
Well, at least I'm halfway there then.
Well, a working title is good, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That I'll strike up some inspiration. So, enough of my jibber jabber about music, Ty. What's going on your mind tonight? And once again, thanks for calling the universe.
Well, I definitely had the phone to wish you a happy anniversary.
Well, thank you.
Even though I got the date wrong on the chat.
That's fine. You're off by one day.
For some reason, I thought you were married on Halloween.
No, we came close, but the way the story goes is that we met on October 30th.
Just happened to be October 30th.
Our first date, and then we got engaged on October 30th, and then we got married on October 30th. So it makes it easier as, I may mispronounce a few names, but I'll always remember the date. We met, we got engaged, and we got married.
He did that on purpose.
Well, it makes it easy.
Oh, yeah.
My birthday's on the 18th of a month. His birthday's on the 18th of a month. That also keeps it simple.
Those are good numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it?
And one day, one birthday soon or later, I'll get a sandwich for my birthday.
Oh, nobody cares about that, dear. I made him a sandwich one time, and I never did it again. And that sandwich wasn't all that he'd hoped it would be. So,
well, she built it up, Ty, to be like this mega sandwich that will be a sandwich to end all sandwiches. And it was like, okay, this is a good sandwich, But
I made you a dessert. This is the third time I've made the same dessert for you.
Oh, which dessert was that?
The one that's in the fridge.
Oh, well, that's yeah. I thought it was some other dessert you were talking about.
No, just this is a random dessert on a non-event day.
See, you've caught us on our edgy night tonight, Ty.
Oh God, we're so edgy right now with each other.
Well, you got a big day coming up, so. But I was wondering, was that an anniversary sandwich?
No,
that was a birthday
it was
sandwich.
Supposed to be a birthday sandwich.
His birthday's next month.
And which incidentally, my birthday falls on a Spaceboy Universe night, and we will be broadcasting that night.
And we will not be doing anything for our anniversary. It's just another regular day. I'll probably have to cook.
Just like in the immortal words of Oingo Boingo, just another day.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Dead Man's Party.
Well, I guess we could look at it that way too.
Boingo.
Well, I'm not sure what to think of that. Are
So-
you going to celebrate?
His birthday?
Or I guess he's concerned about our anniversary, or
Yeah. Are you going to celebrate your anniversary?
I don't see what we could possibly do. It's on a Monday.
a work day. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I figure, I guess we both figure we've made it this far, and we're not dead yet. So
We haven't celebrated for quite some time.
I mean, don't feel bad for us, Ty. I mean, Mommy and Daddy are not going to have a divorce or anytime soon. So, we married for the long haul, the investment. She invested $20 to meet me. So,
Yeah, it cost me $20 on Yahoo Personals to get his email, just to talk to him.
$20?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's 12 years. So what? I'm up to $12 by now.
I think it's well invested.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Ty. I believe that she made a wise investment too.
So he's on your side.
Yes.
Well, I'm on both your sides.
See what happens if you talk to us too long. Someone's going to make you pick a side. That's why you'll have me for the weekends, and you can have her for the holidays.
Well, I'm saying Surlana is a good investor, and you're a good investment.
See, he'd spend it where you can. You're
That's
wise
that
and
diplomatic Canadian mind right there.
Maybe I should have been a politician.
Definitely. And there's our favorite word of the day. The good old EH.
Or K without the K.
Everything from A to Z, as I like to think of it.
A to Z? I like it.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, Ty, we're about to wrap this up, but we always love when you call the universe, and we appreciate your well wishes, and I'm looking forward to finishing off some Christmas music for you as a gift, and I just can't wait to get it done for you.
I'm looking forward to that as well.
So at least you know the title of the album.
Yeah, definitely. And you don't have to do all the Christmas songs,
Mm-hmm. Well, at least to get you a Christmas starter thing there, so it'll come soon. I mean, I've got some ideas, and I just need to.
I gave him some ideas too.
Settle down and focus and get back to my desk.
Nobody knows that reference.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you guys take care. Maybe you can celebrate on the 30th.
Well, we'll see.
I might give him a pat on the back or something like, good job.
Yeah, a pat on the back to make sure I'm not choking on my food or anything.
A small bottle of champagne or...
I've never had champagne in my entire life.
But we'll see how it goes.
Okay, well, you guys take care.
All right.
Thank you, Ty.
Yeah, and hopefully you're sounding better. Both of you are sounding better. Less coughing.
Yeah. We're getting through it.
I think I just have radio nerves cough, so yeah. But we appreciate you calling.
Okay, I'm happy to call in anytime.
Awesome.
And you guys have a great night, eh?
You too.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Do you think he does that just for us?
Probably. I guess he knows that we think it's cool, and I mean, we know quite a few Canadians, and it's
they
always
don't all
good.
say that.
So anyway, on that magical note, I'm going to play the music to get us out of here, Surlana, because we have to roll. So join us next week, my friends, when we'll have some interesting program for you to listen to. Good night, everyone.
Spaceboy Universe is hosted by Spaceboy and Surlana. Executive producer is Surlana. Social media producer is Dennis Koch. Associate producer is Lee Ann Cordes. Music production is Spaceboy of SpaceboyMusic.com. Special thanks goes out to Lee Ann K, K28, Mark S, and Bob N. This has been a Spaceboy Universe production. Support the universe by exploring Spaceboy Universe with Spaceboy and Surlana. Sweet dreams, Space Cadets.